Good morning.
Morning, Judge.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Hey, Don. All right, Chambers County Commission Court come to order. This is Tuesday, 13th day of April, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. It's now 9:35 a.m. Got a really busy agenda this morning with several folks that are going to Zoom in. So I hope you ate your Wheaties. If you'll all rise. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We pray that you would guide us, direct us, and all that we do for the folks in the county today. Help us keep us safe from the COVID and be with those that have lost loved ones. God, just name I pray, amen. Join us in the pledges. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Excuse me. Thank you. All right. So we have, I'm not going to do the citizens' comments yet, but I need to get to 1.2. Discuss and consider legislative updates. And I need to get Don Pilcher, she's on with LJA Engineering. I was asked to come to Austin to a meeting on Friday morning on the Gulf Coast Protection District, which is House Bill 3029 and Senate Bill 1160 creates that district. So I went, Don was there, she working with Orange County and Orange County Drainage District. So I'm very familiar with the legislation. I asked her just kind of to hit the highlights of it and how it would affect Chambers County. Right now, there's included in the district is Chambers, Galveston, Harris, Jefferson, Orange counties. Brazoria was in it, but they opted out. Don, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you got a 10 o'clock with Drainage District.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys can hear me this morning.
Again.
Fantastic. Like Judge Sylvia said, we were in Austin Friday, spent pretty much all day with Senator Nichols, Taylor, and Representative Paul, who are carrying the bills through the Senate and through the House. We're still in negotiations with regards to the exact language. Some of the proposed changes have been rejected by the Corps of Engineers so far. Ultimately, what this legislation does is it creates the Gulf Coast Protection District, which is intended ultimately to be the local sponsor, non-federal sponsor of the entire Texas coastal spine project. That ultimately runs from the Louisiana border in Orange County all the way down to Corpus Christi. Right now, the first elements of this run from Orange County to Brazoria County. Brazoria has opted out, as the judge mentioned, from this district. However, the language in the bill allows for any county that's affected by the project as it progresses down the coast to opt into the district. So right now, it's 5 counties are included. The ones that the judge mentioned: Orange, Jefferson, Chambers, Galveston, and Harris. The way it's set up is that there would be 11 directors currently on this district. Each county would nominate and appoint 1 director, and then the governor would appoint 6 others. It is intended, and the language in the bill, that no single county can have a majority vote on the district. It would have all of the rights and capacities that anyone which qualifies as a non-federal sponsor on federal projects has. That includes the ability to raise funds to construct the the project. Non-federal sponsors, the way that the Corps is set up, typically are responsible for 35% of first construction, and then 100% of O&M for the life of the projects. The district would ultimately serve as that non-federal sponsor, being responsible for O&M of all of these projects along the Texas coast. But they would have the ability to contract with either local entities, whether it be drainage districts, counties, or whomever else is appropriate for actual operation and maintenance of that local location. It also would provide for eminent domain authority because these long linear projects sometimes are it's just the nature of construction that you can't always find every owner or negotiate. So there would be an element of eminent domain that would be available to this entity. The ability to raise funds would be imposed on the district. They would be able to apply for grants, basically anything that a drainage district can do under their creation under the water code, which would be grants, other funding, raising revenue. The ad valorem tax that's in the bill would be capped at 5 cents per $100 valuation. That's not to say that entity would have that tax immediately, but they would have to put that to the voters. At the end of the day, because it's a multi-county entity, essentially Harris County, it looks like, would bear the lion's share on the order of 90% of the entire project, regardless of what county it's located in. Chambers County, of course, touches the coast just east of where Galveston County and Bolivar Peninsula are, but then this project running down Bolivar Peninsula and then across the ship channel with some large navigation gates would ultimately protect Trinity Bay area and those folks around Anahuac that are subject to storm surge at this time. Happy to answer any questions, but that's kind of the highlights right now. Like I said, we're still negotiating so that the creation of the district will be acceptable to the Corps so it can serve as a non-federal sponsor on all of these projects along the coast.
Yeah. And this is commonly known as the Ike Dike. It's been talked about since Ike. And I don't know, I heard you mention eminent domain. We do not like that word, but that's one of the things the Corps requires the district like this to have is eminent domain. So,
Judge, speaking of eminent domain, I believe when I was reading the bill, it said that it had to receive at least, I think, two-thirds of the votes in order to have that authority. Is that correct?
Commissioner Combs, that is correct, and that's part of state law now, that any new district that's created has to be created with a 2/3 vote to be able to receive that eminent domain authority.
And one other question, I'm pretty sure it's just a typo, but in the bill, it actually says, and I'll quote, of the 11 directors appointed by the governor, 9 directors will be selected by the governor for candidates. So it's saying the 11 directors are actually appointed by the governor, but yet you said that the governor would appoint the other 3 and 9 would be appointed by the participating counties.
yeah, it's a typo.
It is a typo, and there's a little bit of difference between the Senate bill and the House bill currently. The Senate bill states that each county gets to nominate and appoint 1 director from their county, so that would be 5, and then there would be 6 additional appointed by the governor, and those have a very specific distribution: 2 from Harris County, 1 representing municipalities, 1 representing ports, 1 representing environmental interest, and 1 representing industry, environmental, municipalities, ports, and 2 from Harris. I think I covered it all.
I think you did too.
Thank you.
All right, other questions? Okay, so this is very important for Chambers County, and it could affect us for years and years to come. So skip down to 1.8, discuss and consider engaging engineering firm to seek advice pertaining to the Gulf Coast Protection District legislation. What I'm proposing today, and I talked to Corey yesterday, and he said, yes, we definitely need this, and he would work with LJA if that's who we decide to hire. And I don't think you bring in a new engineer, somebody that's not familiar with the process, what's going on. Don's been in the middle of it. So what we're proposing, talking to George and Corey yesterday, is to engage LJA for 20 hours, not to exceed $5,000 to advise us pertaining to the Gulf Coast Protection District legislation.
So move.
Second, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. And like I said, she will be working directly with Corey, so let engineers talk to engineers. All right, any other questions? We'll get Don's information in case any of you would like to reach out to her separately. All right.
Yes.
Favor?
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm going to jump off. I'm going to go take care of this same exact issue with Orange County. Y'all have
I
a
look
good
forward to
morning.
working with you, Don. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don.
Bye-bye.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to citizen comments. Lauren. You want to do it here?
No.
Here, you do it. Okay, go ahead. She said her hair is a must. She didn't want to get on the camera. How about mine? How's mine and Jimmy's look?
It looks good, Your Honor.
Little wind blown.
I think Commissioner Gore could use a little trim on the sides though, Judge.
Come on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so we have two public comments. The first one is from R.L. Reichel. I'm a resident of West Chambers County and live on Point Barrow Road. I mainly use the dump on Lawrence Drive. Recently, I tried to dump about a sheet and a half of plywood using my 16-foot lowboy trailer. I was told I could not dump because of the trailer length and not the amount of material needed to start going to the main county dump. I've seen via Nextdoor Neighbor website that many other residents would like to see a rule change also. We are asking that you consider, instead of trailer length, that they're somehow measured dumping by the cubic yard. There could be a simple chart made out for the dump attendants to look at and determine how much is on a trailer. Example, a trailer X feet long stacked X feet high equals X cubic yards. And after a short time, residents would also realize how many cubic yards they have on their trailer. While we are at it, there has to be some easy way to stop contractors from using the free dumps instead of going to the main dump site and pay a fee. How can a contractor even get a dump sticker? The attendants at the sites are working hard, and after a while, they know who is a normal resident dumping and who is not or is a contractor. Thank you for your consideration. And we have another one, and it's regarding the same thing. This one is from Matthew Faulkner. Recently, I was told by an attendant at the waste collection site that I could not bring my 14-foot trailer onto the property. I find this monumentally unfair. I am just a civilian. I do not haul trash for a living. I don't have a pickup truck, and we have an SUV for hauling grandchildren around in a sedan. I do not often have much heavy trash, tires, whatnot, but occasionally I do, and I'm like anyone else, just doing routine house maintenance on an as-needed basis. I hate going over to Anahuac each and every time I do. State troopers close down every possible highway and road to do a reenactment of a motor vehicle accident from 3 months ago and study it for 13 hours while traffic backs up to Katy in one direction, Lake Charles in the other. I would ask the court if they are familiar with Magnolia Gardens, Northwest Harris County, Channelview area. It is filthy. Every ditch is filled with tires, sofas, discarded wood, sheetrock, tile, and more. It's because they don't have an easy way to get rid of trash. I can't even tell you where a Harris County civilian waste collection site is. So people will do what they have to do. I get it. Waste collection has become a serious problem since 2008. Hurricane Ike, Harvey, the ice storm, not to mention all the new building. More trash collection equals increased cost on behalf of the county. I propose a new sticker with cost increase. $10 a year for Chambers County residents with a valid address and $25 a year for Chambers County resident civilians, non-commercial waste with trailers of any size. Commercial waste removal would require more investigation. Either way, we have easily accessible waste collection site, or we go back to the bad old days or look like Magnolia Gardens with car batteries, tires, mattresses, and whatnot in our ditches, or worse, in bayous and beaches. Thank you, Matthew Faulkner. That's it.
No. Thank you, Lauren. I know this is not agenda item, so we can't discuss it, but I think we should maybe discuss doing something, whether it's once a month, once every 2 weeks, something. We'll put it on the agenda and get it out there and try to discuss it in the next court. Lauren, she'll make a note of that, please. Okay,
Being worked on, Judge.
sir.
That's being worked on.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. You the liaison for solid waste, Tommy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna go back to 1.2. Now, let's go to 1.1. Is Mary Beth on? All right. All right, let's 1.1, discuss, consider department update, public health, emergency management. Mary Beth. You're muted, Mary Beth.
Good morning.
Morning.
I thought y'all forgot about me.
No, we just had a couple other things. In fact,
Okay.
I've got a list here of times for folks that are going to Zoom in, and there's about 10 of them on it, so.
Yeah, I figured there was something when I got that email from Austin this morning. So, okay, so y'all ready for me to give an update?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good deal. So I will start with, first of all, our current case count. We currently have 110 active cases. So we're slowly kind of coming down on those active cases. We have a total of 4,760 cases. That's our total cases in Chambers County. But again, 110 active cases recovered, 4,602. We currently have 4 known hospitalizations, 48 deaths, and total tested is 24,000, about 600 total tested. So when we look at our, our per 100,000 population, where we are in our, trying to look at where we are as far as cases, we're at about 20, I calculated about 22. This is comparing us in our region. So we still do have a pretty good amount of disease. Our positivity rate's at about 17%, which is down from 21% last week, which is better. And we just kind of want to we're still promoting those restrictions as far as trying to wear masks and wash hands and limit gatherings and things like that. We've done a great job on our vaccinations. I'm going to give you some numbers on that. So currently we have, as far as Chambers County residents who've been vaccinated, we have a little over 14,000 Chambers County residents who've been vaccinated. And that includes 8,900 first doses and about 5,100 people who are fully vaccinated. And so those percentages are about 27% of eligible people or who've had first doses and 15% who are fully vaccinated. And there's about 33,000 Chambers County residents who are 16 and older who are eligible to be vaccinated. How that compares statewide is there's 38% of statewide Texans that have had a first dose and 16% are fully vaccinated. So we're just a little bit behind the state average. I'll just let you know that Chambers County, as we've run our pod, as well as the other Chambers County vaccine providers, have done an amazing job at vaccinating. We've administered over 28,000 doses as a whole to Chambers County residents and others in the outlying areas. And so that's an amazing feat to administer 28,000 doses through from us and about 4 or 5 other vaccine providers. And so I know everyone's done a big push in this public health initiative And I just want to say that it takes all of us to be able to push that through. So a press release will be going out later on today that we're going to start decreasing our vaccine pod, the dates that we have as demand has decreased on us. We will start decreasing the days that we have first doses available and then reevaluate the need to have first doses available throughout May. So the days we have available that'll be posted, or those schedules will be open later on today, will be this Wednesday and this Friday. Next week, April 22nd, 23rd, and April 29th. Those are the only days that'll be available for first doses. And we have, those appointments are actually limited. Some of those days are actually almost full. And in May, there'll be second doses only. As we open first dose appointments, we'll publish those. But right now we are kind of winding those down. Also, a big thank you to our mobile vaccine pod through our Chambers County EMS. They have vaccinated about 350 people in home vaccinations for our homebound and 65 and older population. That has been a very successful program. We were offered the Save the Seniors initiative through FEMA. And while we have not fully turned that down, that is an initiative that we have worked on from the beginning. And we just really couldn't use that resource right now because we have fully vaccinated 63% of our 65 and older population first doses, and almost 50% fully vaccinated our 65 and older population. And that's amazing that we've been able to vaccinate that population. So if you have any of you commissioners, if you have anyone that contacts you that, that they're homebound or that they need an in-home, y'all have done a great job. It's still just push those to my office, to Ron, so we can get them vaccinated. Just a few more updates for you and I'll be done. We got an email first thing this morning, and I'm pushing that out to all of the vaccine providers in the county that they are pausing the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for right now. They're not pulling it off the shelf. They're just doing a pause of that vaccine. I think that they've had 6 females have had blood clots, and they're just trying to correlate that. So they're asking, we don't have Johnson & Johnson, but there have been some vaccine providers in Chambers County who've received Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So they're asking to pause that. I will forward that out to our other healthcare providers in the county later on today. The variant strains that are out there that we know that are of COVID variant strains, that's mostly the dominant strain in Texas now. It's just a little more contagious. Some say, or some studies show that it may be a little more, that it may be a little more virulent. And it's been present in Chambers County, and the vaccines so far show that they do give coverage against that. So I do want to put that out there. CDC does show that if you're fully vaccinated against COVID-19, that if you've been exposed to COVID-19, that you don't have to quarantine as long as you don't have symptoms. And our email, if you need to change your vaccine dates or you have mobile pod questions, email us at vaccine@chamberstx.gov. And our public health phone number is 409-267-2731. And that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions. We're still doing case investigations, and although numbers are coming down, I know that y'all seen that some states' numbers are going back up. We're kind of holding steady.
All right, so I do want to say how proud I am of our vaccination effort. I mean, not only the health department, but emergency management, EMS, the sheriff, but all the departments, Parks Department, Road and Bridge. I mean, you name it. This was, you're Team Chambers County. This was definitely Team Chambers County. And we stepped up to vaccinate our folks and our folks in the region too. So thanks to all, really seriously great efforts.
Yes.
Comments? Anybody want to join the Love Fest?
Y'all doing a great job.
Thank you.
So,
No, thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you for all y'all doing.
very much.
Been a very
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mary Beth.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go to 1-2, discuss and consider legislative update. Sheriff, are you on? Okay, and Heather. Morning, Sheriff. I see it. Morning, Heather.
Sure.
Good morning.
Morning, Heather.
Morning, John Boy.
Vaccinated our 65 and older population, and that's amazing that we've been able to vaccinate that population.
What is that, Mary Beth? Can you mute her?
Oh, no, she's gone. Heather and Sheriff are both in now, so they,
Okay, Heather, Sheriff, Ms. Hawthorne, Mr. Sheriff Hawthorne, you're both muted. Heather, let's start out with you ladies first. If you update the court on legislative update pertaining to elections, whatever else you'd like to share with us, please. And let me say thank you to you and Brian. I know y'all been spending a lot of time at the Capitol, and appreciate you being there to watch out for the interest. Ms. Hawthorne, good morning.
Good morning, guys. So on the elections front, we've had about 380 election bills filed, which is an amazing amount of election bills for this session. I think the key is because of what happened in other parts of the country, that it stirred a lot of interest in elections. The catchphrase at the Capitol is election integrity. So that's really what the legislature is working on. The main concern that we have is that Senate Bill 7 was passed out of the Senate on April 1st. It's been sent to the House, and it's got about a $750,000 price tag to Chambers County as an unfunded mandate. There's 2 dates. Currently, the bill hasn't come together, but one would mandate this change by, there's 3 actually, 2023, 2024, and 2026. So we'll see where that goes. It's all equipment related. We had 17 bills last week in the elections hearing. Again, some unfunded mandates for sure. We have 11 bills on Thursday of this week. One of the bills that was filed by our representative, Mays Middleton, has to move all the voter registration in the state to the Secretary of State's office at a tune of $106 million per biennium. So we're watching that closely as well. It's just a real busy time at the Capitol with a lot of people putting input into the process, tightening up some voter ID issues, tightening up things that really haven't been a problem. Really, I think more of it's a preventative for following suit of other states. So I'm working hard. I'm there. Knocking on doors and trying to prevent a lot of unfunded mandates for counties, especially counties our size. And I'll entertain any questions.
Sorry, I said thank you, Heather. We really need that protection and appreciate you being there to help out. Any questions for Ms. Hawthorne?
Let me just add so you'll know the equipment issue at $750,000 is because the legislature doesn't like the kind of equipment we use any longer, even though we've only used it like 9 times, because it doesn't have a paper audit trail for the voter. And that's really what the catchphrase is right now, is being able to the voter to have something that they can recheck, a piece of paper, look, make sure that those people are the people they voted for, and then send it through a scanner. So unfortunately, that equipment or that technology wasn't available in 2016 when we purchased. So you have to think that the 2017 was a constitutional election, 2018 primaries and general, 2019 constitutional amendment, 2020, same thing, primaries, runoffs, in general. So our equipment is so new, unfortunately, but it looks like we will be mandated to change our equipment.
They're going to send money with that mandate, right?
Yeah, right. No.
And Heather,
Sorry,
They're,
I didn't mean to be
a little
facetious.
kinder in putting that into the language, but working obviously on my Secretary of State's advisory committee, and there's not any money. So we'll just see how that goes.
All right,
Heather,
questions of Heather before we go to Sheriff?
yeah, Heather, do you recall approximately what we paid for our equipment we have now that is almost obsolete?
About the same price, actually. And of
Wow.
course, this, the new system will be more expensive because of the paper and the storage of paper and I mean, so it's going to be a lot more expensive in the big picture, and it requires a lot more storage capacity, which our room over there at the other building, it's not going to hold it. So here we go.
so Heather,
And
let
don't
me,
get me wrong, it's a great system. I think voters like using something that has a paper trail that they can see who they voted for before it's put into an electronic counter. But it's just an unfunded mandate to our county. There's 84 counties in the same situation, Billy.
All right, any other questions? Not, thank you, Ms. Hawthorne.
Absolutely.
You're muted, Sheriff.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry, Judge. Didn't know it was my time.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. Two things I want to talk about from a sheriff's perspective. Obviously, we're dealing with what's called the George Floyd Acts. Luckily, we do have a lieutenant governor that has been pretty focused on making sure that the changes in Texas government dealing with policing are done on a reasonable level. And one thing for sure, we're fortunate because Commissioner's Court has given us money to train. So we're hoping that some of these problems that have happened across the nation, that our men and women are trained so that we hope those problems won't continue to happen with this county being part of it. The one thing I do want to make sure to understand, if y'all are paying attention to the issues that took place back up in Minnesota again here recently with this most recent, that is a very common event where a police officer in a stressful moment thinks they're grabbing their taser, but because we train more with our handgun than we train with our taser, there's this natural, whenever the stress hits and you realize that things are not going well, particularly if the individual has a history of guns, you have a tendency to think you're grabbing your taser when you're not. Very common factor. So it is something that we train on. But I just, people will continue to make mistakes. Police officers are human. Mistakes are going to happen. And obviously we train and work to make sure they don't happen. The George Floyd Acts, both in the House and in the Senate, have struggled a little bit because we do have a pretty conservative House and Senate. So we'll see. One of the issues that we're following right now, though, gentlemen, that is going to affect us badly is, and I testified on it last week, and it's House Bill 929, has to do with a body camera. And essentially what it says is when an officer arrives on a scene, he has to turn his body camera on and he can never turn it off. Well, the bill is a horribly written bill. So we identified 5 different problems with the bill in testimony last week to essentially let them know that the entire investigation, because it uses the term the entire investigation, can't turn the camera off for the entire investigation. Well, as you all are obviously realize, an investigation could go on for 2 years, or an investigation could go on for 10 or 12 hours at the scene, depending upon what the kind of a crime it is. So the bill's so poorly written, but the way it's written and the way there's so much pressure being put to pass these social justice bills, that the unfunded mandate that will hit you will be thousands of dollars in storage on body camera. The digital storage will be tremendous. where now we go in and we turn the camera on when we arrive and we try to capture what we need, and then we turn the cameras back off for lots of reasons, data storage and then battery storage. We don't have batteries in our cameras, body cameras, that would last all day long, so there's a lot of problematic issues that commissioners' courts are going to have to deal with if this body camera bill was to pass. Like what Heather was saying, with law enforcement, we're chasing about 350 bills. It's pretty crazy, but for the most part, the ones that are problematic to us are the ones that are problematic that are unfunded mandates. And the one thing I will tell you is just about every bill filed is an unfunded mandate. I've yet to see any bill that has any money come with it. And the bills that have money come with it, if they don't already have money earmarked in Article 5 or Article 4, it means nothing. They're going to put a grant program all day long for me or you to apply. But if they didn't earmark the money in the state budget, it doesn't mean anything. So one of the issues that I see is, Judge, do you mind if I talk briefly about Senate Bill 10 and 749? Because if somebody else was going to talk about 749 and 10, I won't.
No, I really would like you to, Sheriff.
Okay.
And as you're talking 350 bills, 300 bills, how many more bills affecting other county officials and counties? And how do you keep up with all those bills? And anyway, go ahead, Sheriff.
Well, so the one thing for sure is you all know that I and Heather and Patty and all of us are very active with our associations. Well, this bill, House Bill 749, essentially makes it to where you all and the county judge cannot belong to the County Judges and Commissioners Courts Association. And if you use taxpayer money, dues, I'll be the first to tell anybody right now, my budget that you give me allows me to belong to the Texas Sheriff's Association. I mean, plain and simple. And not only do we get legislative services out of SAT, but we also get education, training, conferences, the same thing that you all get. So it's very appropriate for the taxpayers to fund our association dues. And when I think about how much the County Judges and Commissioners Association does for you all, on top of how much they do for the taxpayer at the Capitol, it's just very appalling to me that we have this House Bill 749 that is essentially going to take your voice away unless you drive to the Capitol, unless you spend your time at the Capitol. And believe me, I couldn't spend my time at the Capitol, or Heather couldn't, or Patty couldn't, if we didn't have offices and staff that you all have provided us with, that our offices run like a clock. I mean, they run well, they run smooth. And so ultimately what it's going to do, two things. 749 is going to require you as a commissioner to do one of two things: hire more staff so you can hang out at the Capitol, all right? And you can battle unfunded mandates, because currently TAC and the County Judges Association helps you battle those unfunded mandates. But when you no longer have the ability to use the County Judges and Commissioners Association or TAC, it's going to require you to do it, or you're going to have to hire somebody. Both bills now have substitutes. They've kind of softened it a little bit. If anybody happens to know Senator Nichols, you need to thank him. He's the one that has really taken and been the support for local government, especially the smaller counties like ourselves, because all of the bigger counties have their own government relations. Some of them call it IGR, some of them call it GA, government affairs, but they have people inside their county government that they spend the time at the Capitol. They're tracking the bills. All right. And here's the issue that I see too, and I'm not afraid. I see a spade and I call it a spade. So last legislative session, your fellow county next to us, Galveston County, opposed this bill. This time, and you may have seen the letter because the letter came out, that he supports the bill. Well, the reason he supported a bill is because he went into his budget and he found a government affairs person to hire. So ultimately, and I was just, if I was to guess, and Judge, I could be wrong on my numbers, but I'm just going to estimate between you all's dues, my dues, Heather's dues, Patty's dues, Tony Sims's dues, everybody's dues to belong to our associations that help fight unfunded mandates. I'll bet the county's spending well under $25,000 a year. Well,
I'd
for
agree
you
with
to
you.
hire, yeah, and obviously you probably know the number, Judge, but I'm just guessing.
How much,
Um,
Judge?
I would agree with the sheriff under 25. I'll ask Aaron.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
had that number, but it's been weeks ago.
And if these bills were to pass as filed, if they were to pass as filed, it would force you to essentially hire a government affairs person for Chambers County. And that bill would probably be nothing less than $150,000.
Agree.
So I'll tell you that that's something that you all need to start focusing and looking at. Because there's going to come a time where what's interesting to me is this is all about a soundbite for some politicians. They call it an unfunded taxpayer funded lobbyist. What they really need to be calling it is taxpayer funded consultants to avoid unfunded mandates.
Thank
Right.
you.
Absolutely.
And I challenge both our senator and House member to show me the bills that they filed this session to protect our local taxpayer from the unfunded mandates. I want either one of them to show me where they have filed a bill, the people that we put in office here in Chambers County, where they, and gentlemen, you may have seen the unfunded mandate survey, but I want you to know that you all just in your indigent defense has gone up 200%. So I'm curious, which one of our Senate House members filed a bill to slow down the indigent defense that you're having to fund, that you're ultimately having to go to the taxpayer on? The county jail. I cannot, if we put all, you don't want me to go through the list of unfunded mandates that's hit the county jail that you all have had to fund. And I'll tell you one of them that is just atrocious to me is, it has to do with blue warrants. We'll just call it a state warrants, what we're going to call it, where we may be making an arrest on a local charge. Let's just say possession of methamphetamine. He comes to jail and he bonds out, but because he was on parole or on adult supervision, they find out that arrest was made, and then they issue a state warrant. They put him back in the jail. Well, think about it. He bonded out on our local charge, but he gets put back in our county jail on a state charge. I have one in my jail now for over 200 days and one in my jail for over 300 days. All right. Put that together at $45 a day. All right. And I'm just giving you some examples. We have multiple of those. I mean, I probably have a handful of them in there. They've been in there for 100 days now. And so I challenge our senator and House member, which bill did they file to protect the local taxpayer for something that the state of Texas should be paying?
Amen.
Instead, they're filing bills. That cost $106 million to take voter registration away from the local government. I've yet to understand. Maybe one day, we'll have conversations, because I think it's important for y'all to realize that both our legislators are supporting both of these bills. They are both supporting 749 and SB 10. And I'm determined that what they really do is they take the voice away of the local official. They don't want to hear from you. They don't want to hear unfunded mandates. SB 10, the substitute on SB 10 that is filed by Bettenport out of Harris County, it's softening them up to where you may be able to still belong to the County Judges and Commissioners Association, but you cannot go up there and talk to them about property taxes. They want to be able to completely control the property tax, but they want to be able to mandate what you're going to pay, and they're going to make you try and explain why you had to turn the lights off at the park, or why you don't mow the park anymore. Or we could go on, why the community buildings aren't being properly maintained, or we could go on, because the bottom line is you're not going to be able to control the growth that's happening in Austin, Texas, when they take your voice away, they take my voice away, they take Patty's voice away. It's a real issue. And I'm not afraid to tell you, and I'll answer questions, and I see it like it is. I'm telling you, it's an abomination, because all they're really trying to do is abolish your voice as a county commissioner and a county judge.
Sheriff, I appreciate you saying it like it is, because you're right on. Did you all get the report, unfunded mandate report from TAC? Okay, good.
So here's the
Yes,
one
I
thing I would
believe.
tell you. If you all have looked at that unfunded mandate report that TAC sent out, because we are such a fast growing county right now, those percentages. So like, I'm just going to use an example of the jail prescription drug program. So what has happened in the jail prescription drugs is the social justice side and the mental health side have decided that if this guy is on some kind of a very expensive mental health drug, you essentially have to keep him on that same drug, or Mary Beth works very difficult. She works hard. She does a terrific job of trying to find that very similar drug. It's called continuity of medication, that we now have to treat these inmates. All right. And so it's extremely, our costs, our drug costs are skyrocketing, not just from the pharmaceutical side, but for what we're having to do to take care of these inmates. And some of them are state inmates. I just told you, we've held them for 200 and 300 days that you are having to pay for. So I challenge our legislator, which one has filed the bill to change that?
So those that were holding for 300 days, if they get sick, get ill, go to the hospital, it's on us.
So I'll tell you one that I think the
I hadn't even thought
taxpayers-
about that portion.
Oh, it's tremendous. And I'll tell you one that's even more interesting to me. And it's things that getting into the weeds that you all wouldn't necessarily know. But if we have somebody that is coming into the jail, then in the free world, in the outside world, he is decided that he wants to change genders. All right. And so he is now taking hormone therapy. When he hits the county jail, guess what your taxpayers have to continue to pay for? All right. And it's extremely expensive. We've had to do it, I think, twice now in our county jail. And Dr. Brown and Mary Beth do a tremendous job, a great job, but the shot alone is about $1,000 a shot that the Chambers County taxpayers have to pay for. I've yet to see the bill that helps us in the jail on drug costs. All right. And then you can file the bill all day long, but if you don't earmark it in the state budget, doesn't mean a thing. So like I say, I challenge our representative and our senator to show me where they have been giving relief. Instead, they're worried about the 8%, the 3.5%. And the only reason you're worried about the 8.5% or 8%, 3.5% is because of all the unfunded mandates they keep pushing down on you. And I'm not afraid to discuss those unfunded mandates in a public forum, in the newspaper, or on this Zoom, because I am watching it weekly take place. I've done a real good job. Heather's done a real good job. Patty's done a real good job of trying to identify the unfunded mandates when we are testifying at the Capitol, but it just falls on deaf ears. And I got to tell you, Jim Allison does you all a terrific job. And
I've been working
it will
with
be
Allison 20 something years, and I'm telling you.
It will be a travesty if SB 10 and HB 749 are passed and they don't allow you to continue to have that leadership up there at the Capitol.
So let me ask you this, Sheriff. From the legislative side, if I was a legislature, I'd rather have Jim Allison, who knows how to address the legislature, who can get to the issue, instead of every county judge and commissioner in the state coming up there and, they don't have a clue. They don't know the decorum. If I'm on that, that's what I would want. But
Judge, you were spot on. I mean, you were spot on at that statement. And I don't know why. I like to say, my suggestion to you all is you're eventually going to need to figure out inside our county budget if these bills pass, you're probably going to need to start identifying somewhere inside the budget to have a county affairs, government relations, whatever you want to call it, for somebody. And then you're still going to also have to figure out how to not just put them on salary, okay? Because that's the one thing that SB 10 says is they must be a full-time employee, all right? So that's in Betancourt's bill. I personally think Betancourt's bill will pass. They passed it out of committee last night. So we'll have to see. The issue 749, the House bill, it's a little bit problematic. They came out with a substitute on it, but that substitute requires an election. We all know how much elections cost. It doesn't make much sense. He's trying to save money for the taxpayer allegedly, but they're attaching an election to it. And essentially
That we got to pay for.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the state's not paying for that election. You bet on that. So there are some good things in 749 and there are some good things in SB 10, but the overall, they just bounce around. But ultimately, I think you all need to consider doing what Galveston County did and figure out at some point as we grow. And the reason I think that's important is because you all are smart enough to know one little bill up there could change everything on the growth of what we're doing on the west side, dealing with industry, or things on the east side dealing with our agriculture and water. And there's so many things that could affect this county if we don't have somebody tracking legislation that affects Chambers County.
Yeah.
And if we lose TAC and the County Judges Association, it's going to be troublesome.
And the good thing about it with association, Jim Allison, all the small counties are one voice because we basically have the same message and the same concerns because it affects all of us.
Correct. In fact, Judge, here's what's interesting is I think it's important for you all to know. So I've been traveling. I'm the legislative chairman for the Sheriff's Association. Heather is the legislative chair for elections for the county clerks, and Patty is the legislative chair for the county and district clerks dealing with the separating from the elections. Well, I've been very fortunate. The Sheriff's Association is paying for my hotel, so that it has not been hitting that budget item is not touching our taxpayers. All right, and in the way these bills were originally filed, it literally would have to come out of my own pocket. I couldn't use my budget, and I couldn't use the Sheriff's Association of Texas.
Unless we hired you as a full-time
Unless it's a
government
full-time
relations
employee.
person or whatever.
So it doesn't affect Harris County. It doesn't affect somebody that has a full-time employee. So now I think it's important to say it's not over until the big lady sings. All right. And she hasn't sung yet. So we'll hope that 749 and SB 10 will mellow out. So with that being said, I'm good, Judge. I want y'all to know that SB 10 and 749 are troublesome, and it's bothersome to me that both of our legislators are supporting it. And I kudos to you. I commend you all for your resolution because your resolution was spot on. All right, it was spot on. And this is all about making sure that your voice, my voice, Heather's voice, Patty's voice, Tony Sims' voice, everybody's voice at the Capitol is not heard. That is truly what they're trying to accomplish. With that being said, I'm done, Judge.
Well, Sheriff, and I put this on there for legislative update, and what both of you have shared with us exactly what I wanted. So, I appreciate you getting right to the point and not holding back. All right, any questions of the Sheriff?
Would like to say thank you to both of you for your time and effort put into this. We need it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do this. Make sure you also thank Patty. And I'm telling you,
Thank you,
because
Patty.
Patty has been fighting the fight, and there are some huge unfunded mandates that are going to be pushed down in the district and county clerk world if they accomplish what they want. And it's amazing to me to think that they're trying to make it where Heather and Patty and you and me can't can't have a voice up there, so they can just push those unfunded mandates down and nobody can say anything about it. But yet you're going to have to figure out how to try and pay for it. And
Okay,
that's
so-
bothersome.
My plan is to leave this on the agenda. You know, there may not be any updates next for it, but if there is, I'd like to, Lauren, let's get Patty, and if you'd like to, and update us on the, their side, her side, next court.
Yeah, you should.
And
And
Judge,
then
you might
we'll leave it
also,
running. And if you got something you need to share with us, we'll just do it.
okay, and you might also, just check in with all the elected officials countywide and JP, when we've been up there, and the JP's association is, and Constables Association is there fighting unfunded mandates as well. So if anybody else has an update
Sure,
on
we
how
can
it
do
will
that.
directly affect Chambers County.
Yeah, we can, we'll ask, Lauren, you listen. We'll ask if, and then we'll just space them out if there's several, so. But I really do appreciate it. And Sheriff, I appreciate the association paying for your expenses, but it'd be well worth it if the county needed to, so.
All right. Y'all have a great day.
The good news is on doubling on the Hawthorns is that the Sheriff's Association is paying for his hotel room, and and it's free for the clerk. So,
Y'all sleep
'cause
together?
I sleep with the sheriff.
Thank you,
All
Sheriff.
right, thank you for sharing that.
Y'all have a
Appreciate
great
it.
day.
You have a
Thank
great
y'all
day,
very
too.
much.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sheriff.
All right.
Bye.
That's a good one. All right, moving on. Let me see where I am. Okay, we're going down to Railroad and Bridge. 3.1, public hearing 10 a.m. for the abandonment vacating of the county right of way being westerly portion of Fisher Road. Is Ashley in?
Unless she's.
Okay, just text her, tell her to get on, Lauren, please, but we can go ahead with it. It's 10:32 a.m. We are going to recess out of regular session of Commissioners Court, going to the public hearing at this time. Commissioner Combs, you want to take this? Corey, where'd Corey go?
Yes, sir, I will take it. The portion of Fisher Road that we are looking at abandon would be the most westerly portion of Fisher Road. It would be the west piece that has been cut off from what is now Cedarport Parkway. Between that and 99, it consists of approximately 4.94 acres. And so this is what the public hearing is for, is that portion of Fisher Road.
Corey, I don't care. Come on in. County Engineer Corey Taylor's coming in. So Billy kind of explained a little bit, but go ahead and sit down there.
This for Fisher?
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning, Corey.
Okay, so I'm not sure what Billy said. I was I was in the other room anticipating jumping on that way. But anyway, this is just a section of property that's basically at the end of Fisher. It's been used as kind of a stockpile site. I mean, there's not really much use there. There's no use for for the county to have a roadway at this point going further into the industrial park. So yeah, both sides are owned by the CCID 1. So I support this this change.
All right, so there were no public hearings public comments came in on this public hearing. Any questions of Corey? Get on my chair.
If we abandon that, where does that property go to?
We were working on that. Let's go ahead and get out of the public hearing, Commissioner, and then we'll go back. We'll talk about that in the next item. So it's 10:34 a.m. We will adjourn out of public hearing. Go to 3.2, approve the abandonment vacating the county right of way being the westerly portion of Fisher Road. So the answer to that question is we are working with CCID 1 to swap some property behind Billy's Annex for this property. So Billy, you want to add to that?
Yes, I will comment on that. We are looking at doing a land swap, as the judge said. This is 4.94 acres. We did get appraisals on it, and Ashley, I think you're on the line. You reiterate on this.
Morning,
The
Ashley.
law says that we have to make a land swap of equal value or greater. In other words, we've got to get the appraised value of this 4.94 acres or more in it. So we're looking at the appraisals, and I assume that'll come back on the next court to do a land swap. But we would be trading it for land that the county will have a use for and does have a use for. And as Corey mentioned a while ago, we have no use for this land at this time.
So
Judge, you're muted.
the county still owns it, it's just no longer be a right of way.
That
No,
is
we will
correct.
abandon it. We'll abandon it and sell it.
Okay,
Well, actually a trade
Exchange.
right.
value, and we've already got it appraised. So it's in, if you trade 5 acres for 5 acres, 5 acres behind Billy's Annex is worth a whole lot less. So we're working on getting more land, park facility, something to equalize that values. Ashley, anything?
I think y'all covered everything. I think it's
All right,
going to be
so I'll
a great thing to
entertain
do.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ashley.
Oh, no,
I'll entertain a motion to vacate the right of way.
Judge, I'll make that motion to abandon the 4.94 acres of Fisher Road.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Gore. Questions?
I would make
Oh,
one
sorry.
comment, Judge.
Go ahead.
The packet did reference Exhibit A, but Exhibit A, which actually tells exactly what the property is not in the packet.
Okay.
emailed that
well-
to Lauren, so it was a little late. But we do have that.
Okay, so we have it. And
Yes, sir.
we can, when we do the land swap, I guess next court, we should be ready. We can make sure that's in there.
Sure, yes, sir.
Both properties, the one we're swapping for and the one we're receiving.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I got a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You want to let BJ in? All right, we're going to skip down to economic development and tourism.
Do you want me to leave
5
the meeting until you need me again, Judge?
Thank you, Ashley. We'll let
All
you
right.
know. It won't be
Good to see
long.
y'all.
I hope. Good to see you.
Okay, BJ's on.
All right, BJ. He's not quite there.
He's there, just no video.
Oh, BJ, you're muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's unmuted, hang on.
BJ? All right. Let's skip over BJ. We'll make contact with him. And we'll hold that public hearing once we get him. Okay, to 1.4. We need to let Nathan Brandamart in. Anybody here with Arboretum? I mean, give me a name.
I thought Brandon planned on being
Brandon Mark. And there's Nathan.
Brandon Mark. Yep. Oh, there he is.
And there's
Muted, Judge.
what'd you say? I'm muted.
Yeah, said you was muted.
Okay.
Good morning.
Isaiah. Morning, Nathan. All right, so I don't know who's on with Arboretum.
Johnny Thompson should be here, Judge.
Okay, Johnny Thompson, you'll let him in. Austin, thank you. What'd you say? I'm muted.
Yeah, said you was muted.
Okay.
Good morning.
Nathan, if you can, please mute the YouTube stream.
All right, so. Did you hear that, Nathan?
I'm on it. So you're telling me I need to. Should be here, Judge.
Yeah, because you're giving us feedback. Thank you. How about now? What'd you say? I'm muted.
Yeah, said you was muted.
What does he need to do, Austin?
Close or mute the YouTube tab.
He said close or mute the YouTube tab you got open, Nathan. Johnny, you there?
Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you, Nathan. Mr. Thompson.
This might be them. If they
Okay.
Mr. Thompson, if that's, okay, never mind. Looks like you're unmuted. Mr. Thompson, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, Nathan, we're on 1-4 and I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Judge. We've been approached by the Arboretum about enrolling in the QUIP 5 program. Johnny Thompson from the Arboretum is here to speak on that. I think he has a presentation, but I don't know if he has the ability to share it. I can share the screen if the court gives me permission, and then maybe Johnny can go over the presentation if he'd like. But
yes,
essentially,
sir.
The QUIP program, and I'll let Johnny talk about this in detail or according to his presentation, but it's much like the previous 4 years that the county has enrolled in. It has to do with the partnership the county has with the Arboretum over in Winnie.
Okay.
So with that said, would
You
like
can share the screen, Nathan. Austin said you could share the screen if you'd like to.
Did we share the right one?
Yes, sir. This is it. Yes, sir. All right. So basically, this is a review. We'll look at year 4, and then we'll look at, like Nathan said, looking into year 5 and what's coming up there. This is the QUIP program, the Quality Incentive Payment Program. This is offered to us by CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And basically what this is, it's an add-on feature for Medicaid, allowing us to take care of the individual medical needs. This coming year is hiring and retention of staff, training, activities, and promoting a positive environment. That's kind of where year 5 is leading into. And also, too, just as a side note, the QUIP program was recently approved for the next 10 years. This thing has been kind of back and forth. Will it continue into the next year? Will it continue? And so now it has been approved to continue on for the next 10 years. And this is kind of year 4 review. Looking back, like Nathan said, here's year 1, 2, 3, and 4. basically what happens is the county submits IGT money, intergovernment transfer funds, and in year 4, that was right at $909,000. It's split out into 2 payments, so roughly $454,000 at a time over a 6-month period. And what happens there is you get the $909,000 come back, and in return there's supplemental income. And in this case, year 4 of $214,320 is what the projected is, since we haven't finished out year 4 yet. That's a return on investment of about 24%. Looking at the prior years, these were the actual returns. Year 1, 23%, 14%, and year 3, 29%. So that's kind of where we're headed for right now. As far as, from the chamber's side, where money's going and where it's invested and how much of that is coming back. I did want to bring up, this past year has been a phenomenal year of just change. We've never dealt with anything like COVID before. So just to kind of point out to y'all, we are on the rebound. When COVID started hitting us in March of 2020, our census was right at 98.84, 99. Right now, we are right at the 80 mark. So we are making a rebound and recovering. The state has opened up guidelines for us now. It was very strict, and they are opening up. So we are seeing residents come back. They are allowed, if they do not come back, if they come to the facility without any symptoms, they're allowed to go to what we have a cold zone, so they're not put in isolation or anything. As some of you may be aware or maybe not, this has been an extremely hard year on our residents and our staff. Just the interaction alone of not being around everyone else, the isolation, definitely took a big hit. But fortunately, we are looking good. We're coming back. And so, we're getting here, wrapping up the first quarter of 2021, and we're on a positive note for right now. All right, year 5, this is kind of where we're headed into. So the program is open from March the 15th until April the 15th. And so in 2 days, the window for year 5 closes. That's kind of why having the presentation here today. I work very closely with Nikki on this and Nathan. Right now, the estimate is we do not see a big increase in the number of facilities like in prior years coming in. Last year, the window really opened up. There was a lot. The IGT amount that the Chambers County put up was $909,000. So I'm not looking at that to change very much. Here's the interesting piece. The IGT suggested amount from the state comes out on April the 27th. They want a participation, the window closes for participation on April the 15th. But like I said, speculation is I do not see it going up very much. And that first payment would have to be made on June the 2nd, and the second payment would be made on December the 1st. But that's just kind of what the timelines are for enrollment into the QUIP program. Nathan, can you go down to the next slide there? So in year 5, some of the new things with it. There's component 1. This is a QAPI meeting involving the medical directors, a comprehensive review of every single resident, and it has to be signed off on by the facility medical directors. Workforce development, employee retention and incentive plans, Medicare and Medicaid service quality data on the quality matrix, and then vaccination rates and antibiotic stewardship. So those are the components. When we meet these components, this is where we all get paid. Now, component 1, the QAPI component, that is all IGT money coming back to the Chambers County. The rest of these, though, we do split, and I would like to add here also, we have brought on a new a QUIP nurse. She specifically is only for the QUIP program. She points out to the facility any resident that is not meeting a matrix. That's twofold. That's also for the quality of care of that resident, plus also the benefits of being within the program. So it's a win-win situation. Ashley has come on taking full ownership of this program, so I do want to pass on that we are also investing people into this on our side as well. And Nathan, I think that was about the end of the presentation, right?
Yeah, Johnny, if you would, what is it that you're asking the Commissioners Court to do today?
So what I'm looking for today is approval to sign up for QIP year 5 with the intentions that the IGT amount will be around the 900,000 mark. Like I said, that's speculation based on history. And then Nikki would go out there and submit the application prior, on or before April the 15th, within 2 days. I think we've had a good working relationship. So just, I just want to throw that out there and, what the members think about it.
Okay, so, and for Commissioner Hammond, who's new, thank you, Johnny, by the way.
Yes, sir.
That we put the money out of health service sales tax. The money we receive back goes back into the revenue side of the health services sales tax. So it goes to health services in the county, EMS and those health department, those other things that come out of there.
Yeah, so anyway, just real quick,
Go ahead.
Nathan for calling me earlier and kind of explaining the program to me. So he really cleared up a lot of questions I had. So I do have one question about slide number 5, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Why do those numbers for managed care, why do those fluctuate so much?
So the numbers on overall company-wide, our managed care is only about 3% of our total census. So managed care is not that big within different regions, and that's only because of the number of suppliers that we have, providers that we have that are providing managed care.
Okay, so it would be like outside entities?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have to get with like United Healthcare, for instance, and they only service certain areas. So we're always trying to add on, but although we may have residents coming from that area with a managed care insurance, it does not necessarily mean that we have that provider contract with them.
Okay.
But we're always trying to add. The more healthcare providers that we have in our system, the more opportunities that is for us as well as far as census growth.
Okay, thank you.
And Tommy, the reason we decided to get in this originally was because of the Arboretum in Winnie, and we felt like it was a benefit to our residents in the Arboretum.
It looks like it is. I mean, if,
I
we're
think
putting that
so.
money up, and they're able to operate like they need to. So
Yes, sir.
sounds like a win for everybody. So,
All right. I see. Anything else on the slideshow? If not, we can take that off, Nathan. Okay, thank you.
You ready for a motion, Judge?
I'm ready for a motion.
Judge, I'll make a motion that we enter into year 5 of the QUIP program for the Arboretum of Winnie. Do we need to put it there not to exceed the $908,900 for the previous year?
Nathan, I don't think so. I think you just need a motion.
With the return of investment that you're receiving, Commissioner Gore, I would not put such a cap on it, but that's
Okay.
All right. So your motion is to
Enter the QUIP program year 5 with the Arboretum of Winnie.
okay.
second.
Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Hammond. Nathan, that motion suffice?
Yes, it does, Your Honor.
Okay, good. All right. Any other questions or comments? Hear none. Those.
Judge, yeah.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
just
Go ahead,
want-
Billy.
If you would, to me and the other people watching, just refresh everyone's memory on how this actually benefits our residents.
Well, it benefits our Arboretum residents.
That's the residents, I mean.
The money comes back into the Arboretum. And also at our residents, because the money we get, the county gets, goes into the health services, which funds EMS and the health department. So that kind of answer your question, Billy?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. All right, those in favor?
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Johnny. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we need to let Megan in, Megan Croker, you see her? Lauren. Okay. All right. You have a phone number for her? Or just... Okay, we'll find it in. All right. Ashley in. Yeah, we need Ashley. Yeah, if she's ready, we can go ahead and do it. Before we get into Jim Allison's next on my list. All right, we're trying to get Megan Croker on 1.3. They want to be on for the resolution of Child Abuse and Awareness Month in Chambers County. And then we got Jim Allison in the waiting room on an update for the school equalization tax issues. I tell you what, let's take a quick break. Let's take take 5 minutes and we'll come back.
Hi.
Good morning, Paula.
Good morning.
All right, we're going to 1.3 on the agenda, discuss and consider proclamation recognizing April 2021 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in Chambers County. Ms. Torres, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Would you like to read the resolution for us?
Oh, okay, sure.
None of us can read.
No worries. So it says Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Proclamation. Whereas we all have a responsibility as individuals, neighbors, community members, and citizens of Chambers County to help create healthy, safe, and nurturing experiences for children. And whereas nearly 200,000 children in Texas are reported as abused or neglected every year, and whereas safe and healthy childhoods help produce confident and successful adults, and whereas child abuse and neglect often occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and don't know how to cope, and whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from situations and conditions that are preventable in an engaged and supportive community, and whereas child abuse and neglect can be reduced by making sure every family has the support they need and deserve to raise their children in a healthy environment, and whereas it is recognized that no one person can do everything, but that everyone can do something, and together we can create change for the better. And whereas effective prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among agencies, schools, religious organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And now therefore be it known that you, Chambers County County Judge Jimmy Sylvia, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in Chambers County, and that you urge all citizens to engage in activities that strengthen families and communities to provide the optimal environment for children to learn, grow, and thrive so that all children have the benefit of happy, healthy, and safe childhoods, as well as a month of remembrance of all children and families in Chambers County whose lives have been impacted by abuse and neglect.
And I got a motion by Commissioner's Court and second by Commissioner's Court. And all those in favor said yes. And we appreciate what you do. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
Yes, first I want to thank you all for supporting Bridgehaven. We do get allocated funds from the county budget, and that helps us see near, the over 2,000 children we serve for Liberty and Chambers counties every year. Also, we're not located at the First Baptist Church anymore. We are currently looking for space. So if y'all come across anything, we would greatly appreciate, being able to be back in Anahuac or just Chambers County to provide services there to the child abuse victims. Right now, they're having to come to Dayton to receive those services. We would like to be back in Chambers County. And also, we have put out signs and wheels out in front of the courthouse. So if you do have a moment, I encourage everyone to go and sign the big blue ribbon. There's a marker attached where you could just sign, take pictures, put them on social media, and just show your support for April being the Prevention Month for Child Abuse, and also supporting Bridgehaven.
Okay, and if you will shoot an email to my office, we'll try to help you locate some space, or let us know what you need, and we'll see if we can help out.
We surely appreciate that. Thank y'all so much for your time.
Again, thank you for all you do. We'll get you a copy of this resolution sent to you.
Great, thank y'all. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, if you'll let Ashley and Tim Allison in, please.
Good morning.
We were just talking about you. We had the sheriff on we had the sheriff on giving us a legislative update, so he had glowing remarks about you.
Well, good.
We're talking about different people, but
Yeah.
all right. So we have an agenda item. We ask you to join us on, and that is under executive session 20.2. Discuss, consider update on school equalization tax. So at this time, 11:09 a.m., we're going to recess out of regular session of Commissioners Court and go into executive session under consultation with attorneys, section 55107 for the government code. All right, court come to order after executive session. It's 11:32 a.m. No action on 20.2. Aaron, you want to see if BJ's available? Is he? Okay, well, go ahead and let him in, please.
You want me to leave, Judge, until you need me again?
You're welcome to leave or stay, whatever you'd like to do. It's up to you.
Okay.
I mean, we like looking at your smiling face. But
Well, thank you. It is a love fest today.
yeah,
I like.
this is going to be, I think this is going to be a record Zoom court today
I think so too.
for the length of it.
Yes, sir.
BJ, can you hear me? Here's BJ. Well, there was BJ.
He's unmuted.
BJ? We could see you, now we can't see you or hear you.
Judge, I haven't seen him yet. Did I miss him up there?
Yeah, he flashed on for just a minute. But still showing he's on.
Yeah, Judge, he flashed on for about, what, 10 seconds, then went on.
I'm giving him a call.
You muted, Judge.
All right, BJ's having technical difficulties, so he's gonna try to log back in shortly. Okay. I know we're jumping around a whole lot today. Let's go to, Ashley, you're still on? Let's go to 1.5, discuss and consider new hire process. Our interim HR director, Aaron, which, you know, who graciously volunteered, or maybe it was voluntold, but didn't hesitate to take on and get everybody paid last week and to serve as interim HR director until we fill that position. So I'm gonna turn it over to Aaron and Ashley to discuss this portion. Aaron.
Morning, y'all. So yeah, and also he was mostly Chelsea and Keeley, you know, doing the payroll. So thanks for the credit, but really it was really them getting it done. So we don't really have an official, you know, commissioner approved hiring process. And so in the packet on page 16, you should see like the general process that HR really goes through, and you know how they process the whole hiring process. You can see where the only thing I really changed on that is, you know, doing, you know, the sheriff's office does their background checks, but I think it'd probably be the wisest thing to do is to include that in the overall general hiring process for everybody. I know working with George and Ashley about finding the right person, right company to do those processes. I think they found one. And I think it's on this court. But really, I think this is just to see what y'all think and maybe set some parameters of like, you know, what type of background checks you want, how detailed you want them. And Ashley, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so I can tell you a little bit about the company that we're looking into. And also, Aaron, you've been fabulous. Y'all, I've called him probably 5 times a day. So don't underestimate yourself on how much you've done. It's been amazing. So George and Chris have been working with a company called Identico, and they provide background checks. My understanding is that the sheriff's office might work with them, and I think that they have some type of connection with DPS. So the first thing that we have to do before George can go forward with contracting with this company is that today the Commissioner's Court needs to approve someone as the interim HR director, which of course I think Aaron would be fabulous. But before anything else can happen, someone needs to be approved today. Sorry, I don't know if Aaron likes that idea or not. So Identico can provide varying degrees of background checks. And so that may be something that you all should talk about and consider, you know, depending on, you know, whether you're a department head or what, you know, varying degree of employment you have, you can have a deeper background check and different types of clearance.
Is for a procedure, actually, you said we've got to appoint an interim HR director before we can do anything. And that's under, I guess, be under agenda item 19.6. Are you recommending that we go to that and do that and then come back to this?
We could do that. The only thing that I'm saying is that before George can enter into a contract with the county, we have to have a name. So as long as during this court, Aaron is approved and named as the interim HR director, then George can go forward with entering into that contract. So I don't know that one has to go before the other. We just
Okay.
want to make sure that that is done today.
Yeah, and I appointed him so we could get payroll done and some other things. So all I need the court to do is just to back him as temporary interim HR director, so. Okay.
Motion, Judge?
You need a motion,
You
Judge?
looking for a motion?
Let me see how it was on there. I think so. I mean, if you all agree with the new hire process that Ashley and Aaron have put together.
I do have some comments on that. I mean, if we need to get Aaron out of the way, we can do that. So I think we probably need, that's kind of vague of what we have in the system. I think at some point that kind of needs to be detailed in the different levels of background checks. I mean,
I agree. And I really wasn't looking
education.
for, I really wasn't looking for a motion today.
Right.
I think we can go ahead and institute the background checks going forward. But I agree, we need some more specifics in there. And I'm sure Ashley and Aaron will be glad to work on that.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And I think that's really why we need, just get Aaron's name in there so that we can go ahead and get that information and we can present it to you.
Okay, yeah. So we can get signed
And
up.
that part's already in the personnel part of the agenda. And I agree that we need to start looking at this a lot deeper. But right now, if we do institute background checks immediately, we need a little bit of clarification on, as to what background check for what position we're looking at. Are we saying today everybody's going to get the same background check? I mean, there's multiple degrees of background checks and depths that you go into.
No, we'll break that down. The higher level for department heads, those handling money on down to somebody mowing grass. That.
Or driving vehicles, right?
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's something that we'll want to do as soon as we can get Aaron's name in there. That's whenever
And I did her 15 minutes.
we'll get more information about it.
All right. Well, let's just table that one and let Aaron and Ashley work on it, and we'll bring it back next court. And thank you both for doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
It was all Aaron. I'm telling y'all, he's been doing great.
What time is it? All right, we got a few minutes. All right, 1.6, discuss and consider the appointment to fill the vacancy of Chambers County Justice of the Peace Precinct 1. As you all know, we lost to JP1, Yale DeVillier, who was beloved by the community and all of Chambers County that knew him. The funeral, if you didn't get to make it, was fantastic. People turned out. There was probably 200 people standing up and in the church that day. So, but the EMS folks, the fire department, the DPS and sheriff's office, I mean, it was a great service and well-deserved. So there's been several folks that have turned in names that are interested in serving. Commissioner Gore and I visited with Celia DeVillier. And my thinking is this is Yale ran for this position. It's his 4 years. He was elected by the people for a 4-year term, and it's his 4 years. And if his wife wants to serve, Celia wants to serve, then that's how I would like to see us go with it. And Commissioner,
I totally agree, Judge. And totally agree. And she happened to stop by, so she is here if y'all need her to speak. She is. I mean, but that would be my motion, Judge, to have Celia DeVere to fill the vacancy of the Chambers County Justice of Peace Precinct 1 for the term.
I'll second that, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Combs. All right, are there any questions or comments? Celia's there. Celia, you want to sit down there a minute? Just let everybody see your face.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So sorry for your loss again.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
It is a
sorry.
tremendous loss. It is for our whole county, for everybody that knew Yale. It was really affecting a lot of people, but I just thank y'all for the opportunity to do this. I'm just overwhelmed, but the idea that I can just do it, if I could just do it. I'm just saying, before any decisions are made, I just want y'all to know how humbled I am that I could even
I'm
just
joking.
do it for this.
Well, we're almost there. I got a motion in a second. Anyone have any questions of Celia? You know, she feels like she can do the job, and I feel like she can do the job. And other folks that know her feel like she can do the job, and she's been around it long enough to know what Yale does. So the staff there, Yale staff, is happy to have her coming in if that's the way we go.
And I think the other JPs are willing to help out in any way they can help if she has any questions.
Yeah, kudos to the other JPs who have filled in for Yale during his illness and Randy during his and for being willing to help out Celia.
Yeah.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion.
Hey, Judge.
Cry. Motion carries.
Can I say something, Judge?
No, you made me cry.
Please.
Go ahead.
Celia, I absolutely loved working with Judge DeVillier. I'm in the county attorney's office, and I got to work with him for the past 4.5 years, and this was a great loss to us, as obviously you and your family. And I'm very excited to work with you.
Thank you.
And we'll come visit soon. And you will probably get annoyed by my office, but we'll have lots of fun. And that's a great group of women there. So
Yes,
I'm very excited and proud for you.
He was.
Okay,
he's so
and
blessed with
I
great
guarantee
staff,
you-
so I'm excited.
Ashley will be there to help you.
Oh, yes,
Me and the
Okay.
commissioners will be there to help you.
100%.
The JPs are, so we want to see you be successful and
Absolutely.
filling
Thank you.
Yellowstone.
I think that was a great decision, y'all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
we make one every now and then.
When do we want to do the swearing in, Judge?
Your motion and second, we make sure that's effective today. Correct, Commissioner Gore
Sure. Yes, sir.
and
Effective-
Commissioner Combs? Okay,
That is correct today.
all right, just want to make sure, clarify that. All right, congratulations, look forward to working with you. See you.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
We're
Thank
gonna
you.
swear you in the morning at 10:30 here in
Okay.
the courtroom.
Okay. Am I on a limit of how many people I can invite for this?
No, we're okay. We'll do it across the hall where it's larger.
It's going to be a packed house.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
between just our immediates, we've got about 15, so I just didn't know.
You invite who you'd like to.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank y'all. Have
And
a,
if I didn't have a criminal docket in the morning, I'd come over there and do it.
oh, no, it's fine. It's fine.
And if the district courtroom's available, which it probably will be,
Okay.
bring who you want to. We'll make it work. We'll move outside if we need to. It's not raining. But yeah,
Okay.
we'll steps to the courthouse. So,
Thank y'all. Thank
all
y'all.
right. Thank you, man.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, 1.7, discuss, consider approving Pillow, Brown and Hill to conduct an outside audit of the HR department. I'm gonna let Aaron sit down again. Aaron and Ashley.
Commissioners, so if you look on page 25,
I'm gonna step out of my chair for a second. I can still hear. I'm still in the office.
So page 25, it gives a pretty good detail of what's going to happen. They're with the recent situation. They're going to come by and kind of do an overview of the HR department from looks like the full year from March to March, and they'll do some sample verification, make sure everything is okay, make sure that just to get some clarity of if anything or if anything suspicious did happen, we can figure that out with them. So that's all I have. Ashley, do you have anything?
I will say that at this time, we don't have any evidence that anything has been breached as far as our information. So, hopefully nothing to worry about, but this is really important to the judge and all of us that we do take that extra step, and obviously the commissioners, that we do take that extra step just to make sure that everyone's information has been taken care of.
Exactly.
Aaron, I do have a question. Maybe I'm missing something, but I was kind of wondering how they could do this so fast. You said a year. It looks like I'm seeing May 7, 21. Issue examination report, May 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. They're going to sample for the year. It's not a full year audit, I guess. They're sampling from, if I'm reading this correctly, from March 20th to March 21. That's their sample.
Okay, but when would a report be back to us?
Should be.
Is that May 7? Is that right?
It looks like it's May.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we told them how important it was to get this as soon as possible. So.
All right. I just want to clarify because it didn't look right to me.
I think
Yes,
on page 24, it has their timing that they expect. So
yeah, that's what I see, Ashley. But he said a
yes,
year,
sir.
so
Oh, right. That's our sample range. Yes, sir.
all right.
Okay. Any other questions? Not, I'll entertain a motion. I can find my glasses. Motion by Commissioner Thomas. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Have a second.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Second by Commissioner Hammond. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Thank you all. All right, it is almost noon. Aaron, Austin, is PBK in? Mike Leslie, Jeff?
No.
Okay, well, I said noon.
All I have is Baytown, India, and Samantha.
So BJ's in, back in?
If he's on there as Baytown.
He's baked to try him. Let's see if we can get him.
So he was on there by his name.
You're right. He said he was changing computers, so.
Oh, okay, so that might be it then.
There you are. Now can you unmute? BJ?
Yes, let's see.
Hey, we can hear you and see you.
What the hell? No, I'm sorry.
All right, we're going to go to 5.3, public hearing at 10 a.m. regarding the Plastic Express tax abatement agreement. It's now 11:54 a.m. We're going to recess out of the regular session of Commissioners Court and go to the public hearing. BJ.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners, this is a public hearing to approve discuss, consider the agreement between Chambers County and Plastic Express. If you recall, Plastic Express presented an application that was approved by the court on January 12th of this year, and the reinvestment zone was established on February 23rd. This project, by way of reminder, is 820,000 square foot distribution facility. Plastic Express is one of the premier plastics distributing companies in the country. The project will create about between 90 and 150 jobs, and the agreement is presented for your consideration.
All right, there were no public comments came in for the public hearing. So 11:55 a.m., unless you have a public comment from the court. No, we'll adjourn out of the public hearing 11:55 a.m. Go back into regular session of Commissioners Court. 5-4, discuss, consider approving the Plastic Express tax abatement agreement. BJ.
Yes, Judge, as mentioned, the agreement is presented for your approval.
Okay, so BJ, is this the first one that has the school equalization tax?
This is the one that and the floor and decor agreement that's being reworked. And you're correct. This is the school equalization tax that's noted on the schedule with respect to pilot. Essentially, the way this is set up is that the county will abate taxes at 100%, and then receive pilots consistent with the 55% abatement, or it's 45% of the county tax. And then there's a set aside that keeps the portion allocated for the school equalization tax whole. So, and then the county can address the distribution of the use of those funds, however it's appropriate.
Well, they're distributed by population.
Yes. And so the component parts is noted on the schedule for the pilot. The constituent parts of the county tax for this abatement is the road and bridge special, the county general, the INS, and then road and bridge FMSC.
That's on page 100.
Right.
I'm sorry, Jeff?
I said that's page 100. Okay.
Yes.
So it's a full abatement on the 100% abatement on the school equalization, but it's received back under an agreement.
Yes.
12 agreement. And, you know, to me, this is true school equalization because you take it, some of these funds, it's on the, been brought in on the west side of the county, and you're able to move them to the east side where there's not those funds available, although that tax base available. And I mean, that should solve the issues that we've been having with school equalization and, you know.
Right, and it's 45%, we're getting year one, we're starting to get 45% of the 70 million. So year
Correct.
one, we will get revenues on $31 million, which not bad. Hey, BJ,
No, not at all.
What is the anticipated personal property? Would you remind us of that?
The annual inventory is modeled and presented to the court as anticipated an average of $37.5 million per year, which at the current tax rate, total tax rate, would generate $202,308 per year, or $2.02 million over the 10-year term. That combined with the taxes that are paid ad valorem tax on the 45% would equal $3.5 million over the term.
That's what I thought. All right.
Good. That's great. All right. Entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Gore. Any other questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5.5, discuss, consider Black Line Cold Storage reinvestment zone application. BJ.
Thank you, Judge. If you recall, Black Line Cold Storage presented an application that was approved and accepted by the court on March 23rd. This is a request to establish a reinvestment zone so that the procedures and processes related to entering into a tax abatement can be sustained. The request is to conduct a public hearing to designate or consider designating and creating the reinvestment zone on the April 27th board.
So
Just
move.
by way of reminder, this is a 300,000 square foot cold storage facility. It would be one of the first in the county, built upon approximately 36 acres, and would create in phase one 35 jobs, and then through build out 5 years later 50 plus jobs.
I'll move to set a public hearing date for April the 27th for Black Line Cold Storage Reinvestment Zone.
I'll second that, Judge. You're muted, Judge.
You saw my lips moving, huh?
Yeah.
All right, I got a motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Gore, and BJ, something new that we don't have in the county, so it's,
Yeah, I mean, this is good. I mean,
yeah.
all competitive deals. I mean, that could have went somewhere else, BJ.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Easily. All right, motion and second, or the questions, those in favor? Opposed? Those in favor, correct?
Yes.
All right, none opposed. 5.6, discuss and consider TOSAF Inc. tax abatement application. BJ.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. This is an application that's being presented by TOSAF Incorporated. TOSAF is a value add plastics additives compounder. They are contemplating building a 110 square foot manufacturing facility as part of phase one on the 25-acre site that in Cedar Port. This would be a rail serve facility, and the intent is to start construction of phase one probably in the third quarter of this year. First phase is approximately $12 million in capital investment. There are at least 4 phases contemplated, and so the request for consideration with respect to abatement for 10 years is 15% for consideration today. The request is to accept the application so that we can get further information with respect to the timeline for expansion, so that we can present a fuller picture to the county. This project is associated with the Project Redfish, the planned expansion over at Rivago. TOSAF is a subsidiary organization of Rivago, and so that project is integrated with an additional expansion.
There's a schedule on this one there? Did you see a schedule? We won't have the schedule until we do the actual agreement, correct, BJ?
That's correct. This is simply presenting the application for acceptance so that we start the process of consideration.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. We move to accept the application.
I'll second it, Your Honor.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Questions? Hear none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5.7, discuss and consider JSW Steel USA Incorporated, Chapter 381 Agreement Amendment Request. BJ.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. You may recall back in 2019, JSW Steel entered into 2 agreements with the county for planned expansions at their facility in the Cedar Port Industrial Park. One was for a plate mill modernization, the other was for a melt shop. The combined capital investment at the time was approximately $500 million. They have encountered some difficulty on moving forward with the project. Essentially, the melt shop project has been totally canceled. There were some issues with tariffs and economic impacts of COVID and supply chain issues, and so that project has been canceled. They had an accompanying Chapter 313 agreement with the East Creek School District, which has been canceled as well. What they have requested back in January of 2020, as noted on the cover letter, was to apprise the court, apprise Judge Sylvia that phase one of the project was to be completed in March of 2020. Obviously, that was impacted by COVID, and so they are asking for consideration to amend the agreement, cancel the agreement that was entered into for phase 2, but to amend the agreement for the plate mill modernization that they expect to move forward, but it's going to be on a delayed timeline. Subsequent to me providing this exhibit to the court, we've gotten some additional information about the proposed timeline and some of the mitigating issues that are impacting this project. There are some delays related to deliveries of equipment. They've been in force majeure litigation with one of their contractors. Some of the equipment is not going to arrive for completion of the project until the latter part of 2022. So the elements of the amendment have yet to be cleared. And so what we wanted to do is get it before the court for consideration. First, make a determination as to whether or not the court would entertain amending the contracts, and then come back to the court subsequently with more defined information with the amendments, and then also related to the Chapter 381 pilot payments that were initially envisioned, and then present that to the court for consideration and move through with the final draft of the agreement as required by statute. So the consideration today is to determine whether or not the court would agree to amend the two agreements that were entered into between the county and JSW Steel back in 2019.
So is there any reason why we shouldn't, BJ?
No, Judge. We have been trying to work with JSW. We understand some of the issues. And now that they've been able to explain, they've gone through a change in leadership. John Ritz is now the CEO emeritus, and then we've got a new CEO in place, and all of the issues associated with tariffs and the like have stabilized. So now they want to move forward with completing the plate mill modernization, but it's going to be on delayed schedule. So the agreement has to be reconstructed to reflect that new schedule.
BJ, wasn't there a pipe component to this also in addition to the plate mill?
Yes, and that has been reconsidered. It's under reconsideration.
Okay, so this is phase 2 of the plate mill. And as I understand it, all of their steel for this plate mill is actually a recycling steel, and mostly U.S. steel coming in, or recycling steel already here?
Recycled steel, yeah, very similar to the profile that Nucor uses with respect to scrap and recycled steel. And so that was envisioned all along. And it's a very important point, the Commissioner, to make a distinction. When the court entered into the two agreements, they were considered as phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 was the modernization for the plate mill. Phase 2 was for the melt shop. The nomenclature is continuing to be used in that they're going to bifurcate the single agreement that's going to be amended into 2 phases. So there'll be one project, but there'll be a phase 1 project and a phase 1 of the project, and then phase 2 of the same project for the modernization of the plate.
So
Which is somewhat confusing.
You're not asking us to vote on the amendment. You're asking us to vote as to whether we are agreeable to amend.
The amendment, yes, sir.
And I would make
correct.
that motion, Judge.
I'll second that, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah.
Tommy, you look like you had
Yeah, would we have to rewrite that and to address this school tax equalization deal?
If that going forward, given the change, Commissioner, that now that there's been some delineation and clarification with respect to school equalization tax, that is correct. That would reflect the amended agreement.
That's a good point. So we're agreeing to the amended, but it's still got to come back for formal approval. Is that what?
Yes. At least 2 times.
So when that comes back, we'll make sure that's in there.
Yes, yeah, it'll be the amended agreement will reflect an amended the Chapter 381 payments, the pilot payments, or even structure that's consistent with now the new expectations related to the county portion of the tax and the school equalization tax.
Great. Any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5-8, discuss and consider notice of public hearing regarding the Talk USA Incorporated Tax Abatement Agreement. Is that Talkie?
Okay, yes.
Talkie, okay. Go ahead, BJ.
All right, thank you, Judge. Last court, if you recall, the court agreed to enter into a tax abatement with Talca. In this case, the county is not establishing a reinvestment zone. It's the city of Mont Bellevue that's establishing a reinvestment zone. And so essentially, given that the abatement has been approved, the consideration is to set a date to conduct a public hearing to present the agreement for consideration. And the request is to publish a notice of public hearing to do so on March 25th court.
I'm sorry, you waiting on me? I should have took my allergy pill this morning. All right, so I'll entertain a motion for public hearing regarding the Taka USA Incorporated Tax Abatement Agreement.
Do we have a date picked or who sets the date?
We do. What's the date and time, BJ? We can include that in motion.
The request is for the March 25th, the May 25th court at 10 o'clock.
May 25th?
5:25 at 10 a.m.
Yes.
Why don't we, I'm talking to you and Lauren, why don't we put those in with the agenda item? Just go ahead and put the date and time. So when we approve it, we'll just approve that also.
Okay.
All right, so entertain a motion to set the public hearing 5/25/21 at 10 a.m.
I'll make a motion, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Gore. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5.9, discuss and consider 2021 contract with Baytown West Chambers County Economic Development Foundation. I don't know why we want to contract with them. They don't do a whole lot for us. Ken, BJ?
I appreciate, we appreciate our continued
Foundation
partnership with the county. Obviously the foundation's had a longstanding relationship with the county since inception, 1986. And so the contract that's presented before you has some minor modifications, and the intent today was within this context of reviewing the contract was to go through and present an annual report. However, I understand today's docket is somewhat squeezed, so it's up to you if in fact you want to do that. Got several slides to punch through. It's a very great story despite COVID. Growth and activity in the county and in our service area has been quite robust.
BJ, I think it's important enough that we do it.
Okay, let me see. Given the technical difficulties I've experienced today, I'm going to try to share my screen. Can you see this? Can you see the screen, Judge, Commissioner?
Yes, sir. We can see it.
There we go. All right. Well, this is an overview of the presentation. Just going to talk about the EDF mission and purpose, program of work, even an economic snapshot. Okay. Can you hear me still?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, very good. And go through just a quick review of productivity and trends over to 2020. The purpose of the foundation since inception has been to foster economic growth. As I mentioned before, the foundation was founded in 1986 and has had a relationship with Chambers County since inception. Our work essentially focuses on driving this development cycle. Hopefully you can see it. Obviously employment growth has been important, continues to be important, which drives residential development, which we'll talk about later, population growth in the county. The sheriff talked about the growth in the county, and that's realistic, and all of the challenges and opportunities that come with that. The foundation is trying to help address with growth in population that drives economic buying power and retail development, and then amenities or provide tax bases for communities to make investments in the community quality of life. We do this through deploying this program of work. I won't go through all of them in toto, but obviously stimulating and encouraging businesses, facilitating tax incentive programs are key, along with various other work that we do on behalf of the county. This is our service area, all of Chambers County, Baytown and TTJ, and some unincorporated areas of Harris County. Since the expansions, we broadened our sensibility to really understand what's been going on in this entire area with respect to the east, all the way to Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, Port Arthur, Beaumont, particularly in the petrochemical industry, Baytown, down to Freeport, and Corpus Christi in that area, because what's been happening in the West Chambers County area and in Baytown, the petrochemical industry has been happening in the same footprint. And it's because of this. So this slide has been very useful over the last 5 or 6 years to illustrate the magnitude of investment that's been going on in the region. Slide put together by S&B Engineering. S&B Engineering essentially has been building a lot, if not most, of the fractionators and other projects along Catchpole Road in 1942. And this slide illustrates approximately $53 billion in capital investment. And so that's really focused us on looking at growth. We've been trying to understand and consider the Chambers County, West Chambers County, Baytown economy in the context of a mega region. And so it's anticipated by the year 2025 that within the Texas Triangle and along the Gulf Coast, the combined population is going to be 41.1 million people. And that growth, we're asking the question, what does that really mean with respect to economic development for Chambers County? And so it's an important question to ask, and we've been asking it and getting some information. So the concept of mega regions is based upon some analyses that was done by the Metropolitan Planning Authority back in 2009, and some of the characteristics of mega regions are easily identifiable, with respect to the geography that I alluded to earlier. Common infrastructure systems like pipelines and industries, economic linkages, common environmental systems, talking about the Ike Dike and so forth, and topography and things that affect the broader coastline, land use patterns, and then culture and history. All those factors are representative in the Chambers County area with respect within the context of a broader region. This is an example of the pipeline infrastructure, and this is Mount Bellevue right there. So you can see the common integration vis-a-vis pipelines and the economic impact of the midstream sector in particular. These are our major area employers, and obviously everybody's familiar with them. And because we have all these industries, the commerce in this area never stops. We've got embedded employment centers at all these facilities that drive commerce 24/7, 365. COVID has had an impact. This is a slide that illustrates unemployment rates going back to January 2019 through February of 2021. You will note that Chambers County, right through here, Chambers County's unemployment rate tracks quite similarly with the Houston MSA and Corpus Christi and Pasadena. We tried to look at cities that have similar petrochemical or industry profiles. And so the jumps and movements in unemployment have been very, very similar for Chambers County. This is interesting with respect to Baytown and Port Arthur. Higher unemployment rates, but track almost mirrored. So that's a dynamic we're really trying to understand beyond the petrochemical industry. And I think it has a lot to do with the construction industry as well. But this is a stable, and it's beginning to stabilize as of these data as of February 2021. The resiliency in the economy during COVID has been exceptional. This is a dashboard that illustrates the period starting in March or so for Chambers County. You see the dip through May, and then the red line rolling shows the 7-day average of 2019. The green line showed activity for 2021. And this is data based upon GPS activity, which is a proxy for consumption or commercial activity in a given footprint. And there are 400 plus categories that this platform tracks. And so we've got a few that we've been tracking over time, but you'll see how stable this has been. So the initial effect of the downturn and the shutdown recovered quite nicely and has been stable or even exceeding 2019 through time for Chambers County. Employment trends, these kind of a flashback. This is a trend chart for employment for Chambers County from the year 2000 to 2010. At that time, a little over 14,000 jobs in the county were cited, actually 14,082 jobs. In the fourth quarter of 2018, we cited 16,809 jobs in Chambers County, significant growth, and that was the fourth quarter of 2018. And this is as of Q3 of 2020, there are 19,170 jobs in the county, with an average wage per worker of 65,000 or 66,000 per worker, which is kind of an interesting stat to note. Average annual change over the last 10 years, up 6%. Average annual change in the last 10 years, up 4.2%. Top industries in the county as of 3Q20, 18% construction, 6% manufacturing, largely represented in the petrochemical industry. And this should be no surprise to anyone who's been looking at the logistics sector that transportation and warehousing has grown at a rate of 15.8%. So a lot of growth despite COVID. And these are the sort of wage breakdowns. I know it may be a little hard to see, but average annual wages in construction, manufacturing, again, take into consideration that this petrochemical industry pays quite well. Transportation and warehousing continues to pay quite well. Really establishing, this is across all jobs in the transportation and warehousing sector, but really establishing a sound basis for growth in the middle class outside of the scope of direct the petrochemical industry. However, a lot of the transportation and warehousing jobs have been tied to expansions in the petrochemical industry. This is a chart that shows the activity trends for our shop from 2005 to 2020. And despite COVID, we had one of our busier years. So this will drop here in 2020. Obviously, parties that we interact with, if they were open to, and we were open to interacting via Zoom or sort of virtual platform, we were able to accommodate that. So site selection and due diligence continued. We continued to be busy during 2020 and even more so in 2021. So this is a snapshot that quantifies that trend chart. We responded to 352 requests for information. These requests could be direct contacts, engagement with our office, or leads or prospect leads coming from the governor's office or regional economic development allies such as the Greater Houston Partnership. The sectors of interest, manufacturing, highly represented, petrochemicals and specialty chemicals, advanced manufacturing, alternative energy, biotech, water bottling, beverage bottling. This whole idea of the circular economy and plastics we'll discuss here shortly has emerged in a very robust way. And then, not surprisingly, the second largest area of interest has been logistics and distribution. These are our target industries that were identified in 2017 as part of the Economic Vitality Program that was adopted by the foundation. Very consistent with what they have been in the past. Not surprisingly, under advanced manufacturing, petrochemicals, and plastic manufacturing is of interest. Fabricated metal because of our OCTG presence in Barson, Mannesman, Tenaris, and Jindal Steel. Logistics and distribution, self-explanatory. When this came out in 2017, refrigerated storage was a targeted industry. Obviously, this is beginning to emerge for the very reasons that were identified back in 2017. And then healthy lifestyles, tourism, retail. Mount Bellevue area is beginning to emerge as a significant retail cluster. And then the residential growth to the east is going to spur continued interest in retail development to the east as well. In Simplify. Excuse me. Continued foreign direct investment interest. We entertained virtual site visits from prospects in all these locales and projects that these projects are still active today and are going to be or have re-engaged. And as soon as there's a degree of comfort with respect to travel, they're going to be coming back to our service area, seeking to take advantage of some of the excess ethylene that exists, and then other natural gas liquids that are being produced transferred from Mount Bellevue. Another trend that's reemerged is this idea of reshoring or nearshoring, bringing manufacturing back to the area. Prior to the Trump administration taking office, there were several projects that were impacted by NAFTA that were seeking to site the maquiladora or relocate maquiladora operations into domestic locations. We were entertaining 2 or 3 of them at the time. NAFTA came under review and revision, and now the USMCA. And now that that has been rationalized, these projects have reemerged, and they're exploring projects in the Chambers County area. So I don't know if, obviously, all of us are of a certain age and remember the movie The Graduate. And this is a scene from that movie with respect to the sharing of information to Dustin Hoffman. I don't know if you guys recall that, but sharing, this movie came out in 1968, and it was so relevant then, and it's even more so relevant now. Back in 2016, we had the opportunity to present Chambers County in general, heavy haul roads, public barge dock, container on barge concepts as part of this idea of moving polyethylene through and to the Port of Houston. Well, one of the items that we touched on at that time was the lack of in-use manufacturing, people who convert plastics into end products, and then this idea of recycling or circular manufacturing. And so this is part of that cycle. Obviously, the Chambers County economy is well represented from extraction, from shale plays, movement of products to polymerization and plastics. But this sector has been missing the actual fabrication and in-use manufacturing. However, because of our close proximity to a large MSA, this idea of reuse and repurposing in a circular way and broadening and continuing this virtuous cycle has emerged significantly. We have several active projects, one of which we talked about today, Project TOSAP, that looks at this active or this evolving plastic recycling supply chain. So currently there are 4 projects that are in due diligence or seeking to site or will be siting in Chambers County as part of this evolving plastics reuse or circular manufacturing profile. And it's only going to continue. And so the next step is once we have a density of plastics manufacturers, a density of plastics distributors, and the density of plastics reusers, the next step is in-use manufacturing. So the future looks good with respect to continuing the cycle. This is a snapshot of plastics prices as of the 3rd quarter of 2020. You can see the rebound here in polyethylene, and it's going this way now, upwards of this way. It's about, and this chart illustrates approximate price of about $1,200 per metric ton. And so there's no surprise that we have a number of plastic distributors that are already here, Ravago, Venmar, PPB, and others. So what does that mean for the economy, for our mainstay? So upstream, there's a reemergence in shale. Rig counts beginning to perk up despite COVID. The midstream sector, you know that the county has worked with Enterprise Products, Targa, Lone Star, and others to stabilize agreements so as to be prepared for recovery. And then downstream as well, the courts work with Covestro and other projects that when recovery is appropriate, they can reemerge so that all sectors of this continuum, upstream, midstream, and downstream, are in stable condition and prepared for recovery. So looking at 2020, so these are some of the projects that either were coming online or did come online. Targa brought on Fracs 7 and 8, Lone Star NGL brought on or bringing on Fracs 7 and 8, One Oak fractionators 4 and 5, and then Enterprise Products completed the fractionator number 10, units A and B, their DIB, and they're currently completing the PDH2. So those projects in the midstream sector represent 108 jobs. So what does that mean with respect to economic impact? So the economic impact on the job creation alone, looking at Chambers County and annual impact, those 108 direct jobs have an indirect impact of $225 million. That's simply consumption and so forth. I'll be glad to send you the report. It's about 48 pages as to how the economics and consumption associated with these jobs cascade through the county's economy. But the ultimate impact, just having those jobs created on an annual basis, is $600 million on an annual basis, based upon 108 jobs. The multipliers are substantial. I mean, for every direct job, there's a induced and indirect effect that totals 2.7. And so that's really substantial when we think about the multiplier effect. Gross domestic product, these are the data that the most recent data that are available. The GDP for the county increased by 10.7% in 2019. The GDP was $3.6 billion. That's just simple output of economic activity in the county. Not surprisingly, manufacturing contributed to that to the tune of 1.7 billion. Construction associated with manufacturing and developing manufacturing and building things, 421 million. Transportation and warehousing, 264 million, and on and on and on. So if Chambers County were a country, and we think about per capita, looking at this chart, which represents $3.44 billion, the per capita GDP is right at $76,000. I mean, that's exceptional for a county of 46,000 people. So a lot of economic capacity in the county. Commissioner Combs has been working to.
Please hear mouse. Austin, please.
There you go.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me
Commissioner,
now?
you guys, Billy, are you on?
I'm muted, Judge. Yes, sir.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
I heard some interference. I was just saying, Commissioner Combs has been working, asked us to start looking at, in 2019, the economic impact of what's been going on in this area. And so we've looked at it several different ways to present and educate TxDOT commissioners and HGAC officials and the like. And so developed some useful rules of thumb here. So we wanted to look at, just in a simplistic way, the impact of 100 new jobs in the petrochemical industry for this nation. And so for every 100 jobs in the petrochemical industry related to the Houston MSA, 684 indirect jobs are created and 456 induced jobs are created to the tune of 1,241 total jobs with an economic impact of $1.2 billion to the MSA. In the aggregate, when we look at 1,000 jobs, which is very realistic to have been created in the Baytown, West Chambers County area, those 1,000 jobs have an indirect effect of 6,800 jobs, induced jobs of 4,560 for a total of 12.4 thousand or $12 billion in annual economic impact. So huge, substantial economic impact of the jobs that are created in the petrochemical industry in Chambers County. So what does that mean for construction? Another rule of thumb, given that we wanted to look at, incrementally for every $1 billion in construction, how does that manifest with respect to one-time economic impact? So just basic construction of all types, $1 billion creates or supports 5,700 jobs and has a one-time economic impact of 1.9. So these are substantial numbers that had been and hope will continue once recovery occurs in the petrochemical sector in Chambers County. So this is the aggregation of that. So what does that really mean? So during the expansions in the Baytown, West Chambers County area in the petrochemical industry, that includes the ethane crackers by both ExxonMobil and Chevron Phillips and the PDH facilities. Everything is being built at the Enterprise complex in Targa, Lone Star, and others. The $20.2 billion in capital construction has resulted in a one-time economic impact of $38 billion, or directly supported 115,000 jobs in the Houston MSA. And that's substantial. So with respect for making the case for consideration that Chambers County needs to be prioritized with respect to its impact on the economy in the HVAC service area, this is a simple way of illustrating that. Moving forward to logistics and distribution, a lot of projects were being worked in Ameriport and TGS. These are ones that you're obviously familiar with. This is a slide that illustrates what's going on in TGS Cedar Fort. Ameriport continues to build out. They've got their new section that they are going to be building out to the east of the Grand Parkway. In this slide, roll-on value estimates. I mean, obviously you guys are familiar with this. This is an interpretation of estimated value that's going to roll on at the termination of the investment or the incentive investments that have been made by the county. And you will note that starting in year 2024, and these are in billions of dollars, the value that's going to roll onto the rolls, substantial per year. Well over $10 billion is going to roll onto the rolls between 2021 and 2031. So the investments that the county has made with respect to supporting this expansion, this special time in the petrochemical industry, will pay off in spades, if you will, as I mentioned earlier, for the next decade. So this is substantial. This is what the roll-on revenue estimate looks like based upon the current tax rate. So the same sort of configuration, 2031. And these are estimates based upon, these valuation estimates are based upon an 85% value. So it's kind of very moderate conservative. It may go up, it may go down, but this is the estimated roll-on revenue at the current tax rate. Again, driving this development cycle, very good story to tell. With respect to rural development, there's been some projects there. Central County has emerged as an area of interest, looking at available land and infrastructure for projects. And we're working at least 3 of them right now in Central County. Residential development has emerged. This is a cover sheet of a presentation made to HCAC in 2018, talking about housing for the future and growth and potential growth in Chambers County, and that's come to fruition. This is Cypress Point development that seems to be doing quite well. Obviously, the court has been working with the developers there to assist in their development. It's one of the projects we worked in 2020. Regarding regional projects, the Hotel Convention Center over in Balin Island, that project continues to move toward fruition. The idea is to build a Hyatt Regency on Balin Island. That project continues to move forward. Foundation worked on behalf of the Bring the Battleship to Baytown initiative. The idea would be to locate the battleship right here off the jetty. So to close, development activity, we have a wide range of activities that we interact with. Developer contacts, we support regional planning through HCAC. The Chambers County Industrial Development Corporation continues to exist. We're going to be revisiting the membership hopefully within the next quarter as part of a broader initiative. We serve on the board of AirCo, sponsored by Chambers County. We call the Cedar Bayou Initiative, which is a tri-county initiative, but that's going to be revisited again, just to talk about the importance of Cedar Bayou as a tributary, and then also with respect to the impacts that were impacted by Harvey. We continue to support the Cedar Bayou Maritime Initiative. Again, the Cedar Bayou has been designated, had been designated for quite some time as the M146 Marine Highway Connector. There's some funds that I think in the recovery package that's being presented that could be encumbered and pursued for projects in complement of what CCID #1 has been doing with respect to build grants and Tiger grants of old to expand their capacity at the public barge dock. We provided assistance to the county for the sub-regional drainage project. Transportation planning is noted there. Mainstay activity, we facilitate all these incentive programs, either directly or indirectly on behalf of the county. The opportunity zone strategy is important. There are 518 square miles of opportunity zone designation in Central County, almost the entirety of Central County, and 2 of the projects that are considering siting in Central County are looking at that area because of the opportunity zone designation. We continue our work, force development support, as noted here. Get to the end, guys. We have the benefit of having access to analytics platform where we can run scenarios on behalf of our stakeholders. Lacey Schumann in our office does that. We also take part in strategic planning with the Gulf Coast Economic Development District, HDAC, transportation planning as noted before, and then the Economic Vitality Program and strategic plan that was adopted in 2017 will be closed out this year in preparation for revisiting and then proposing to pursue an economic development strategic plan specifically for Chambers County. So this is a snapshot of growth in the area, 2010, 2040. Employment, 2010, 2040. So obviously with the Grand Parkway is going to catalyze growth even more than what's occurring now. It will draw commercial activity from the north as well as from the east. And so it'll fundamentally change the economic structure of this area. And we're thinking about this in the broader context of this mega region that I alluded to earlier. So this area, we've been socializing the idea of Metro East, has many identities. Within the MSA population, just in general, Baytown, Chambers County in total, so over 120,000. It's a prosperous industrial area represented by Fortune 500 firms. It's a significant logistics hub because of proximity to Port Houston, Walmart, Home Depot, Floor & Decor, and others, and Cedar Point Industrial Park, College Town, and then also a significant healthcare hub that continues to grow. Continues to drive the development cycle. And so going forward, the 2021 posture, we think they're characterize it as a pragmatic optimism. It's on the horizon, and be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Very good report, BJ. Really appreciate it. Questions?
It is a good report, BJ. Thank you so much for all you do. But I do have a quick question. We're renewing your contract.
Yes.
And, as a part of your contract, you are to monitor and ensure compliance with tax abatement, contract terms and conditions. One of our residents asked me the other day about two spec buildings that are out in Cedar Port that have been on the ground for a year or maybe more and don't have a tenant in it, and asked how can they be in compliance with the job creation requirements. And so I thought that's a legitimate question. See if maybe you got an answer for that.
That's a good question.
Sure, Commissioner. Those buildings, when they were built by two proven developers that have done work and benefited from partnerships with the county in the past, namely Avera. Avera built the Venmar building successfully and built the spec building that is currently on the market. And Clay Partners. Clay built the facilities that are now occupied by IKEA. And so they were built in 2019 and completed in started construction in 2019 and completed in 2020. The job creation requirements that are in question are cited in the application. At the time, the minimum requirement for job creation for any given project to qualify was $500,000 in capital investment and the creation or retention of 5 jobs. And so, but the agreements, as they're constructed, do not have a specific job creation requirement in them. However, they're tied to the application. As part of our work and part of the contract, the issues that would essentially initiate default would be that the county would be made aware of a default by us because we're responsible for administrating the tax abatement process and economic development program for the county, that there would be some violation. There was a project that was impacted in that way associated with the sale of the Clay building to Exeter, in that the county had entered into an agreement with Clay for Clay Partners Cedar Port Phase 3, Buildings 1 and 2. Building 1 was built, which is there now, which is now currently owned by Exeter, but Building 2 did not and violated that 1 year parameter and the other elements of default. However, our work is to routinely assess the viability of projects across all agreements. So we did that and continue to do that. The language in the abatement agreements is that the county may, that's the key word, may declare a default under certain conditions. But our awareness and market intelligence and our ability to understand market dynamics, particularly in 2020 and impacted by COVID, we understood what they were trying to do with respect to leasing. They continue to try to lease the building. The activity has increased quite a bit in the last couple of months. We're actually working with them. And I guess importantly for us, and maybe selfishly for us, those are projects that we can market for prospect leads that we receive from the state and otherwise. And so the guidance or in answering the taxpayer's question or the citizen's question, that there was no event of default that was presented to the court for consideration, given our awareness of the market activity in our office associated with those buildings, to try to get them leased with respect to responding to prospect leads, but also what the owners are doing and continue to do. And right now there's been an uptick in activity. So, and so that's where the county and some agreements have very specific job creation requirements beyond those that are basic to guidelines. Just as in the case of Platinum Express, the agreement that was approved today, very specific expectations with respect to construction jobs and then full-time jobs, and the expectation that they will be filled, prioritized by Chambers County citizens. That is not the case in the two agreements that are applicable to the two spec buildings, which obviously have been impacted by special cases. So I don't know if this, that's satisfactory, but we are expected that we look at all of our projects. We're aware of the activity associated with those that have entered into agreements as part of our contract with the county with respect to conformance and compliance, and we do that, I think, very efficiently and effectively. But it's a valid question, and please know and communicate to the citizen of concern that the projects are actively being marketed both by us and in responses to prospect leads and by the owners as well.
Thank you, BJ. So I think the quick answer is you are very aware of it and that we're watching it, and hopefully we'll get tenants in there soon.
Yes.
All right, other questions for BJ?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion that we renew the agreement with the Baytown West Chambers County Economic Development Foundation for Chapter 381 Economic Development Program.
I'll second that, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. No other questions, comments? Those in favor?
Hold on.
Go ahead, Tommy. BJ, can you keep your screen down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm tired of looking at Buc-ee's. It's making me hungry.
Yeah. So this fee in here, that's just hard money that doesn't fluctuate any, depending on the
An annual fee?
Yeah.
No, yes, the contract, the point, yes, the $100,000, yes.
Okay. That's just hard money, flat payment for 1 year of y'all service.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Commissioner, I'd make note that there are some monies written into some of our agreements on the, I think it's the 313 agreements.
381.
The 381 agreements, I'm sorry, 381 agreements that would be a flow through to the foundation for administering some of the larger ones, such as the enterprise products, the Targas, and some of the larger 381 agreements.
Yeah, we paid $50,000 a year for several years, and we went up to $100,000, and I guarantee we get our money's worth. If you hire BJ to be a county employee, he's paying $200,000 a year. Plus, we may do that at some point, but
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I just get clarity there. So
sure, I understand. But yeah, 100,000 flat fee, and then what's the percentage And we're going to talk about it next item, but what's that percent, BJ?
Oh, for the administration fee, it's a 0.625%. In some cases of the derived tax savings, in some cases, it all depends on the structure of the agreement. So yeah, 0.625.
All right, so all those in favor on 5.9,
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. 5.10, discuss, consider Baytown West Chambers County Economic Development Foundation, Chapter 381, Economic Development Program Administration Fee. BJ.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. Just a little background on this, the administration fee. Back in 2013, when the county established its Chapter 381 policy, the very first agreement that was entered into was with the Borison, the Nessman project. It was a competitive project. They were competing, the Chambers County site was competing against the Port of Catoosa in Oklahoma. And so we presented the concept of the statute of Chapter 381. It's a very flexible statute that allowed for the county to pursue pilot payments and then some flexibility with respect to certain elements of the abatement contract. Subsequent to the Borison project, there were several other contracts that presented for consideration, namely Lone Star presented an amended agreement. We worked with them to amend their agreement for fractionator number 2. The Hunting Energy Services that was built in Ameriport presented, and the idea was presented to the court that under Chapter 381, given that the court had adopted this idea of an economic development program and policy as noted in the contract, that the county can essentially assess monies to fund economic development programs. So that's the idea of administration fees, and it's very similar to other programs under the statute as well. So going back to 2013 and 2014, these administration fees started to accumulate, and they have been accumulating, and to the magnitude they are now because of the capital investment. And so the internal discussions with respect to whether or not the administration fees were going to be paid directly to the foundation was changed when, because some of the folks who were entered into the agreements wanted to pay the monies to the county as a pass-through, because the statute allows enter into an agreement with the county, not with the foundation. And that's been the case since 2014. The first administration fees were collected in 2014 and have been collected since that time. And so we're at a point now where the administration fees have accumulated, and we're presenting to the court consideration for acquisition of those funds, but not simply just for the acquisition. There's some key items that are noted on our contract that we want to pursue as part of embellishing and improving the economic development program for the county, namely conducting an economic development strategic plan for the county itself. The last time we went through this, it was for the Baytown and Chambers County, but the county needs its own plan. Prior to COVID, we've been engaged with conversations on how to maximize the use of special purpose districts, to look at how the county can integrate these special purpose districts in a way to address some of the constraints related in growth, and some other elements that these monies are going to be able to be used for. And so one of the quickest ones will be to certify sites in Central County. Phase 1 environmentals, working with Energy, to be able to, the power company that services that area, all those elements, we want to be able to certify the areas that we think are amenable to the development, including the property that the county that owns south of the incinerator. So there's an array of projects that these funds will apply for. And then we are in the midst of transition, succession, if you will, and we need additional resources and manpower and staffing. So what's presented today is a request for the pass-through to occur, and then to go onto a routine schedule as these administration fees are collected going forward, and do it on a timely basis.
And going forward, BJ will be working with Aaron to make sure this happens on a regular basis, whether it's quarterly or it just kind of fell through the cracks. They never EDF never requested it. We never picked up on it. So, and it's their money. I mean, it's a pass through. that we approve. So it's not county funds, so.
And that is very important. It was monies that we collected on their behalf, and there was just a clerical error. It never got passed on.
So it's sitting in an account somewhere?
It's in a general fund, yes. But it's like I said, it's their money. It's their mark for them.
I understand. We'll have to do a budget transfer or, I mean.
Yeah, Aaron will take care of that.
Yeah, I'll do auditing and we'll make sure we're all on the same page. We'll take care
He
of it.
said, I'll get with the auditing to make sure we're all on the same page to get it done.
Okay. All
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Judge, I'll make the motion that we approve the payment to Baytown West Faith Chambers County Economic Development Foundation.
I'll second, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. You know, the questions, comments? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. BJ, we really do appreciate everything that you and the foundation do.
It's a pleasure working for the county, believe me. Sorry about, again, I think we're going to nail these technical difficulties down at some point.
Yeah, when we don't have to do it anymore, we'll get it.
Right, we'll have it down little.
But, you know, BJ, anything I've asked of BJ over these years is, even if it's not related or it's somewhat related, but not really their job, he's always helped. Never said no over 20 years. How long you been with EDF?
16 years, Judge.
For 16 years, he's never said no. So if you come up with a question you think you might say no, let me know so I can run it by him.
Thank you, BJ.
Thank you, BJ.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a quick 5 and then we're going to go to Mike Leslie and Jeff Chapman are on. We'll come right back in. 102.
Muted, Judge.
Yeah, I was talking to Austin. I was making sure PBK and Mike were still in the waiting room. All right, Chambers County Court come to order after recess. It's 1:06 p.m. and we are going to maintenance and buildings. And actually, those two items kind of go together. 7-1, discuss, consider awarding bid on West Side Complex project, and then issuance of a certificate of obligation for West Side infrastructure projects. We're going to start with the West Side 7-1, and Mike Leslie, Director of Maintenance, is in with us, and Jeff Chapman with PBK. Good morning. Jeff, Mike, everyone you'd like to start, go ahead. Yeah, I see that.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having us. We look forward to discussing this project with you today. Judge, if it's your pleasure, I put together a little presentation to run through everybody.
Yes,
I'll go ahead and get that going.
Please do. And that is a community building, mind you, right?
Yes, sir. Good eye. So can y'all see West Side Complex?
Yes, sir.
Your logo. So the story of this project starts several years ago. Chambers County was approached as a community partner by the city of Mount Bellevue, requesting that the county partner with them on phase 2 of the Mount Bellevue Park by relocating the Eagle Drive Road and Bridge Yard and the box site so the property could be used for phase 2 of that park. The current city park is well used by all youth and just not those within their city limits. About that same time, Enterprise Products expressed their interest in purchasing McLeod Park due to connecting to their facilities. This park has 2 community buildings. One is for storage, tennis courts, baseball fields, and associated infrastructure at a price for about $9.5 million. Chambers County is waiting on the U.S. Fish and Wildlife clearance to approve the finalized sale. These 2 events foster the idea to build a central complex. Property was purchased south of I-10 near 565 for the purpose to relocate all that's located at McLeod Park currently, community center fields, as well as the solid waste box site and road and bridge building from the Mount Bellevue site. And so what you see here in green is that property located right here by the beautiful bustling metropolis of Cove, Texas. And here's some sneak previews of some renderings that we'll show later. So here's that narrative I just read for record. Here's a view of the Mount Bellevue Park in its current state. You can see your community building. You can see your box site and your road and bridge property here. The next slide we have is a rendering of the Mount Bellevue expansion, what they're calling phase 2. It's about $7.8 million to refurbish some softball fields, the 3 on the right, and build a new athletic complex behind your community building. And then they would like to move forward with phase 3 of that, adding a couple of soccer fields and a green belt to that complex for about $4.8 million. Then we have your existing complex in McLeod Park. You can see 4 fields. You can see those 2 community centers and associated concession stands, restrooms, etc. And so that transitions us to the actual West Side complex. You can see here 565. You can see FM 3246. 485 parking spaces for guests for the fields in the community center. The box site is located in what we're calling the back of the site. It is gated off from community use after hours. The road and bridge has direct access to 565 as well off that west drive. So you have 8 fields, 4 smaller fields for youth sports, 3 larger fields, and then 1 we're calling the showcase field with a wood fence. And I can show you on the next slide. There's your showcase field and kind of a little bubble showing you what is artificial turf and what is natural turf on these properties. Each field has a Hey, Judge, who's that talking?
I don't know who's that talking. I can barely hear them. Austin, you hear somebody? It's not on your end?
Not on my end.
The 2 of y'all.
Oh, Mike's not unmuted?
Mike is muted right now.
Okay. I don't know unless we got hacked. Austin.
They're talking about this project, so it's kind of anyway.
Oh,
I'll
are
keep
they?
going.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have YouTube on, do you?
Oh, you know what?
That's what it is.
That's funny. Good.
Yeah.
It shows you how good I am
at.
It shows you how good I am following instructions from Austin. All right. So here's the beautiful West Side complex. I know Chambers County typically does buildings in green, but we figured being near Barbers Hill, the community would appreciate a white and blue look.
Looks good.
Here's your road and bridge building, which is the it's going to have an oil bay, a large area for large trucks, and a couple offices and restroom for staff. And then here's your box site where we can hold 16 boxes in 4 bays with 3 drive-throughs.
Impressive.
And then you see the little office there in the middle. And it will also have a office on that you're actually standing in right now, looking at that property that is part of the complex. So here is our Brookstone budget. This is a locked in, ready to go, $22.699 million. And then here is our schedule. We bid this in January, seems like just yesterday. And then we have been negotiating with Brookstone to try to get a price that you would like us to afford. And then we will hopefully be able to move forward with them soon. They're trying to hold that price as long as possible and working with your county. And then if we can get started pretty soon, we're looking at a May 1, 2022 completion of construction.
Looks good.
It's real good, Jeff.
Thank you very much. Let me know if you have any questions that we can answer with you.
Tell me again, Jeff, I heard the number and then I kind of missed it a while ago. What's Mont Bellevue's investment when we move on phase 2 and 3?
So the budgets that they sent you and that Mike Leslie forwarded to me. You had 7.8 million for phase 2, and then 4.8 million for phase 3.
Okay, thank you. I just couldn't remember those numbers.
About 12.6 total.
You got that many fingers and toes, Tommy? Sorry. Okay, any questions?
I'm going to go back to budget because I believe that is where the most number of questions may arise from, but feel free to let me know and I'll go back to any slide that you request.
I tell you what, the bauxite is in the number of folks we have on the west side, the population, and putting that bauxite on I-10 and having it covered, and it's amazing for the folks that utilize that, and everybody does on the west side of the county. So,
Judge, you might want to let people know about the community building being 155 mile an hour and capable of people staying during storms.
yeah, that's a good point, Mike. It is.
Staging area, right, Judge?
Yes, for now it's not going to be for during the storm, but it may be for first responders, county employees that have to stay. We'd house them there, and then it turned into a shelter after that. So, yeah, and it's set up real close to the one at McLeod Park. Even with even a little more, we've learned more since we built McLeod Park and White's Park buildings. So, what else, Mike?
That was one of the major things that I had, Judge. You might want to mention that, you know, we do have spaces for some soccer fields, you know, for the future. We're even, you know, trying to utilize the detention areas for certain things.
Yeah, go back to that layout, Jeff, please. Yeah, that's just to the right and below the parking area of the soccer field, and then we're looking at putting 2 in the detention pond. So, and other green areas. I mean, the road and bridge, the bauxite is one of the main things I'm proud of, and what it's going to mean to our residents. But the road and bridge yard, Corey, we talked yesterday. This will be his main. Okay, right now, and I may let him talk about it in a minute, but if you want to, Corey. But right now, we've got a shop, mechanic shop in Anahuac that's, I mean, it needs replacing. It needs to be torn down, another one built. This would become the main mechanic shop for the Road and Bridge Department. I'm gonna let Corey talk a little bit about it.
Thank you, Judge. So yes, as the judge had mentioned, the other one needs repair. In fact, it's been in the budget requests for probably the last 3, maybe 4 years. And there's been discussion about, you know, maybe when 1409 reimbursements start coming back from TxDOT trying to do something, but it's just in bad shape. It's not usable for what we have as is. And so this would be an opportunity for us to come in and get what's needed for making repairs. We've actually, it'd be convenient because we're next to the bauxite. We've actually started assisting repair for bauxite vehicles as well. So it would have the lifts and the being able to do our own lube and tire service and bringing a lot of things in-house that will end up saving money to the county and not just road and bridge, but to box and, landfill as well.
Corey, did you say it had a lift in it also?
Well, it has I think one of those might've been reduced. I mean, that was our initial, but it has the room. The key is it's got the room for us to be able to add additional services in there later.
We've been trying to get you guys in budget for a couple months now, and the actual lift itself is something that can be provided later, actually cheaper than providing it now. you can get that turnkey installed. At any time, we will provide the foundations for it. We will provide the electrical power for it. And then all you have to do is bring it in and hook it up.
Right. The other key is that, so it's got the 3 offices in there, which will allow for the road foreman and the shop foreman, and then also for the drainage crew foreman, which we anticipate, obviously there's going to be a lot more growth on the west side for those needs with, the court's desires over the last couple of years. So this will be able to do that. Also has the room for us to be able to actually have a meeting together as a unit, which doesn't exist now without us having to rent a building or, it's just not convenient for being able to have a safety meeting, essentially. So I think in general, it should improve safety through just the ability to come together somewhat. So.
Well, the growth over here, all of that is definitely needed. Bad.
Yes.
Any other questions for me?
Let's get it built.
All right, great.
What's the matter? You don't like it here in the hot seat?
Judge, this is really exciting, and our constituents out here are really excited about it too. And the fact that it's off Interstate 10 is just, it's going to be good for Road and Bridge. It's going to be good for all the way down to the kids playing ball. I mean, the accessibility is fantastic.
Yeah, and it can be utilized by everyone across the county. It's easy to get to. And
Right.
One of the good things about moving Road and Bridge and the Bauxite, you're getting all those trucks off of Eagle Drive, where all those kids are going to school, all the buses. And so it's moving them out to I-10 and off Eagle Drive. And I don't know if anybody mentioned the fact that, yes, it's a city park, but all the kids in the county play them. There's even kids, I know Lauren's son plays ball over there during the fall. So they don't charge folks for out of the city anything to play ball there, utilize their facilities. So, I think it's a great partnership between the county and the city in that respect.
I agree, Judge.
I think long term too, this gives us a lot of opportunity to showcase the county and bring, improve our tourism. I mean, we're getting set up here to where some of these organizations could hold, like national tournaments here or something of that nature. So.
Yeah, and the soccer I've learned is big, and places like this to bring in to have tournaments and soccer tournaments, just like the baseball and the rest of them do.
Yeah.
When you look at, I'd like to point out, with Mont Bellevue, and I agree with you, Judge. I think it's good that we're doing a partnership and they expand their fields up there. But we got about 1,700 to 1,800 students in along 146 in Goose Creek ISD. We don't have any county facilities that they can go to for Little League and ball. We've got the fields at McLeod, which are way, way, way outdated and get ready to go away. So, we do need a place to provide for a lot of those kids there that are trying to utilize some of Baytown's overcrowded fields.
And this will give them that. There'll be room for practice fields in the open spots around the other facilities. So, which is a dire need, and I know you know that, Billy.
Yeah,
I agree, Billy.
All right, so let's. Any other questions, Jeff, Mike?
I'm good. We got a lot of people that have been working real hard on this, and I'm ready to see it go.
Well, Jeff, you said these budget numbers through Brookstone now they're holding firm with it. As you know, I'm in the construction industry, and the uncertainty of steel cost and what we've seen the last 4 months alone, as well as lumber, but these numbers are good. They've got these numbers firm.
We've got these numbers firm. I cannot guarantee that again in 2 weeks. They've been holding it as long as they can. I'm not trying to put pressure on you. I'm just letting you know the state of the construction industry right now. I've had other projects that bid, and 2 weeks later, they've hit their clients up for a $200,000 change order on an elementary school because they just couldn't hold the steel price. That is not our situation. They've been holding us. This number is good. We're ready to go at this number.
That's fantastic because the unknown is still out there, and I sell steel, so I have a front row seat for it. It's been a 24% increase since from December 20th to April 12th. There's a 12% and a 13% increase just from the company I represent. But it's not my company, Jeff, as you know, that it's a worldwide demand issue.
Okay.
Yeah, lumber prices are changing daily, so.
Yeah, I gave $60 for 3 2x8 by 10 treated. $20 a piece.
Where'd you get them that cheap at?
Sheet of
I can't
plywood.
say because they'd be advertising for them. Actually, it was Hill Lumber, but $20 a piece. Man, I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, no, and they've gone down a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, two before or $1 a foot.
Oh my.
All right. Anything else, Jeff? I'm gonna let him go, and we'll go down.
Looks good, Jeff.
Yeah, looks
Thank
good.
you all very much for your attention.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that Chambers County has been working on this a long time, and they've had a vision for it, and we're just happy to be part of the team.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're very welcome.
Going to stay on. We're just going to, if you'll take your slides now, and let's go to 7.2. Discuss, consider issuance of certificate of obligation for West Side infrastructure projects. I'm gonna let Aaron sit down here and discuss it with him.
Hey, y'all. So on page 149, you can kind of see the summary of what we were looking at. Kind of talking to Commissioner Combs and everybody about, we need, of course, infrastructure, specifically on the west side right now, well, everywhere. But if you look through this list here, the summary page, the first 5-6 projects, they're all road projects. So if you can look through there, you can see that all those projects total about $21 million. That's going to be the Kilgore extension to 3180. Right now, widening Kilgore from 146 to 99. O'Neill Point extension to 99. Anita Point overlay and an EW4 frontage to CCID number 1. And also some Kilgore drainage, miscellaneous like some overages and maybe some other stuff that we might need to do, and probably need to talk to Commissioner Combs just to kind of clarify on some of the stuff like that. But right now we're looking at $21 million. And going through it, I made another little subtotal here for part of this West Side complex project. So some of the things we talked about before with some of y'all, we're trying to move out from Mont Bellevue, and these are those projects that we need to move so we can get out of Mont Bellevue's way so they can expand their park with the road and bridge building, the box site, and just the general site works and utility part of that project. So if you add that to the subtotal of the road projects, that's $28 million. And you go down further, you can see the remaining project for the West Side complex coming about $46 million for the total debt, package. Even further down, you can see there's 3 more projects that were listed. It was on the original request. We're working on trimming that down, so we cut those projects for now. even so going down, you can see from page 150. So I asked our financial guys to do, I guess, two types of analysis. One is for total A, option A, which is all the road projects, Kilgore drainage, and then the road and bridge building, the box site, and then the site work and utilities. And then option B for the community building, baseball complex, the climate tech, and then the additional baseball fields for doing the complete project. So option A, if you look through, you can see, and there's 3 different versions of option A. And the big change is going to be the how long it's the term of the project. So on page 152, you can see option A is a 20-year term, and then most of y'all seen what the debt schedule looks like from our financial. Far right, 20-year on option A. It's a for the in 2022, that's a 0.01 increase on the debt rate. And then going down on page 153, that's option A with 25-year, and then so forth on a 30-year term. And then on page 155, that shows option B. That's a 20-year, page 156, 25, and then 157 is a 30-year option. So if you do the full project on a 30-year term, in 2022, our proposed increase for that tax rate is, for our debt, INS rate is 0.01. And then you can see it kind of goes up all the way to 0.0118 in 23, looks like. And then it drops down pretty drastic in 2031. So that's what I got James to kind of work on. And then, the list of projects here for y'all to kind of consider. I guess if y'all have any specific questions for me, I can try to answer that or try to clarify things.
I got a couple of questions, Aaron.
Yes, sir.
One, we're not giving any consideration for the monies we would be receiving for the sale of McLeod Park.
Right, that's true. So everyone, most everybody knows we're selling McLeod Park. We're expecting to get $9.5 million from Enterprise for that project.
So we use pay back debt or we could use both.
Yeah, so with it being such a, I think the last update I've got was maybe like a month ago from Parks and Wildlife, because they're trying to move, there's a designation that they have to move from McLeod to our new site so we can officially do the sale of the property. And so it being in the Parks and Wildlife Department, I think the federal side, we're just kind of waiting. And, I think right now it's just a waiting game for them to get that complete. I've heard it could take a year or so, but who knows how long it's going to take. So, options could be for the $9.5 million. You could designate for the project if you want to, or you could say, okay, options would be phase out this project because we're replacing the community building and some baseball fields. Do you say, okay, the community building's $4 million, baseball fields are 8.9 or 5.2, which ones you do? You can say the $9.5 million goes to those projects. Or
no matter how you look at it, we're going to be getting $9.5 million coming in from that.
Exactly.
That could go retire this or pay part of it or something else that we badly need.
Exactly. So,
and another thing, we're going to be getting the tolls. We're going to start seeing a income coming off of the tolls.
Yeah, for 4209, yes, sir. So when all that's completed, I think this year, we probably won't see funds till next year.
Right.
Yeah, we're getting about $20 million in that full term.
So that could help offset any increase that there might be in any tax rate for this.
It could, right? So yeah, I think right now that money's going to go to the road and bridge fund. So maybe if we're getting $2 million every year, we can maybe lower the tax rate to accommodate that 2 million increase from those toll roads.
Okay,
I mean, the
Pastor
toll, I'm sorry.
and then on the first page that when you were showing, it's on page 149 in our packet, where you had the Kilgore extension and the widening, but at the bottom, you took 4 million away on the Kilgore widening and the old Needle Point right away to 3180 and EW4 East. Explain to me a little bit more clear what we did there and how that number transferred into options A and B.
Corey's here too.
Yes. So the Kilgore widening of 99 to 3180, old Needle Point right away in east west, those aren't included in those dollar amounts at all. I think just to kind of go back in time a little bit, we had a list of projects we wanted to do with yourself and Corey and us, just kind of going through projects. And I think we kind of said, okay, we do.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. So the
Yes, sir.
numbers we're using it only widens Kilgore from 146 or where it ends now to 99. Then the section from 99 to 3180 would only be a 2-lane road as proposed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the old Needle Point right away to 3180. And I recognize we're not going to buy that right away now. We'll just, and this is a question for Corey, make sure we're clear. We would dedicate that right away, but not actually acquire it, correct?
Sit down, let him sit down.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, currently, I have projection of buying that right away of 1.1 million to buy that additional over to 3180 for Old Needle Point. And honestly, like I was talking the other day, is that connectivity really is key, maybe more than widening. I mean, if you look at 3180, it's still only 2-lane, and you're handling probably almost 15,000 vehicles a day. It gets stacked up at times, but and obviously at this point we're trying to widen out, or TxDOT's trying to widen out, but 2 lanes can handle a lot of traffic.
I
And
just want to make sure we got the money to do what we need to do, because I'm looking at Old Needle Point, and I want to make sure that 4.6 million will not just extend it to 99, but will also pay for acquiring the extra right of way that we need to improve that road from 146 to Highway 99.
Okay. So I put in the issues that we have right now. So we've got some, we have to go across the canal. The other issue is that pond that we have to get through, and it's going to, there's a little bit more beef that's got to go in so that you don't end up with issues geotech wise in a situation.
I get that, but my point I'm making is from 146 up to where it ends right now, that road is really not fit for travel. It really needs to be improved.
It does need to be improved. And yes, we're looking at, trying to acquire some right of way in there now.
Is that in that 4.6?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think, so actually though, it's not a 4-lane, it's to a more improved, like a 30-foot 2-lane.
And I'm good with that.
Yeah, right.
I just
Exactly.
want to make sure it can be traveled on safely.
I agree. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. What other questions?
The only thing I was considering, I think Corey and I talked about this yesterday, is going on and putting that Old Needle Point right away into this package. So that price is not going to go down. So I think if we acquire that now, that puts us in better shape in the future. So I don't think it impacts it CO very much at all. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's, this is, I mean, values are not going to go down, especially in this area. They're only going to go up and
they're gonna get houses built on it.
yeah. And
That's
the right of way disappears. I mean, that's what, one of the issues that we had with, looking at the old thoroughfare plan is that right of way wasn't protected and now it's disappeared. And so like when we talk about EW4, it makes it almost an impossible route because the county didn't go out and, protect that, and now, what do we do? Now we're stuck with trying to make something that's just not really as good as what it could have been originally. And yeah, this goes into the same situation. So I would recommend going out and getting that. I mean, I don't know.
No, I agree. If we don't get it now, it's not going to get any cheaper. We'll probably never get it.
Right. So
Right.
Anyway, I mean, there's just, if you look at the congestion, especially on, different times of the day and with the additional growth, it's just, and as we see, like with 180, once it's under construction, it's just painful when the congestion's already there. We need to get out there and, get some of this stuff done for relief because it's going to be worse.
And Tony Sims, auditor, made a good point in the meeting we were, I think Billy was in that meeting, and Aaron with our financial folks that, why would you make people right now pay for all these improvements when you can get those folks that are coming in and we're growing? That's why we're growing. So we put it out there on the CO and we let them help us pay for all these infrastructure improvements. I thought it was a good point. Billy, you were on that meeting with me.
No, absolutely. Plus interest rates are at an all-time low right now. We'll never borrow money this cheap again, probably.
And that also gives industry opportunity to join in on this too. So, and the developers coming into the area. So we don't foot all the bill right now. So, and we just need to make sure everybody's clear that this does not constitute a tax increase. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I believe Aaron confirmed this, but I think 79% of our taxes this year are being collected from commercial and industrial.
79%,
I think. Is that right, Aaron?
Aaron says 70%.
70%?
Industrial and business industrial.
That's still strong, very strong.
All right, so hey, I'm just going to make a suggestion. I think we still got a little bit of work on these certificates obligations to nail down exactly what exactly the estimate of what the tax rate is going to be moving forward. So, and only 2 weeks on the West Side Complex because we might lose that bid. And I'm sure with the prices like they are now, you rebid it, you're going to get a whole lot higher bids. My suggestion is we post a meeting for the end of the week and we bring these two back. And we nail down some more about certificate obligation and then consider awarding bid at that time. We can't award the bid unless we have the money in the bank to award the bid. So I say the money in the bank, you got to have a way to pay for it.
What answers are you looking for, Judge, that we don't have now?
Aaron, that was Aaron's suggestion. I was fast to know. I
mean, we see the tax rates.
Well, yeah.
Honestly, I think I probably feel more comfortable just to make sure, we're good with all of our numbers, especially for Kilgore drainage. And I would feel comfortable just making sure that, our office and auditing, we're all on the same page of what's going on. Because it's been a little crazy for me the past couple of weeks. And I just, want to really make sure that we're all, together and understand what's going on.
Okay. Thank you.
But
I think if we reschedule this meeting, do think we ought to have the opportunity for public comment. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, you have it, for Commissioner's Court, you had it
right.
comment and they knew, people knew it was on the agenda, but that will give them some time to digest this. I see what you're saying. And then come back and they can have, we'll have public comments at the meeting. So what about Friday morning?
I'm good, Judge.
Excuse me. It'll have to be Friday after. What about Friday at 2?
I'm good with that, whatever we need. So
Whatever it takes. Whatever
we
it
gotta get
takes,
this done.
I'm open.
All right, so let's get, I'm gonna get Lauren to post it Friday at 2 p.m. and we'll have these 2 items on the agenda and we'll make sure we get in there, citizen comments. Okay.
Okay.
We'll get it posted to Lauren where she is. She got 15 minutes. Okay. Thank you, Jeff, Mike, Corey.
See you Friday at 2.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you, Jeff.
Thanks.
Y'all have a good one.
Okay.
Judge, can we take 2 minutes?
Yeah, go. All right, it's 1:53 p.m. Court come to order after recess. We're going to executive session. 20.3, discuss and consider approving purchase of managed detection and response services for information technology. And it's 1:53 p.m. We will recess out of the regular session of Commissioners Court and go into executive session.
Commissioner Combs, is it a sign of old when I'm sitting so long, I get that stiff? Is that not a good sign?
Why are you asking me? I'm not old yet. How would I know?
I am.
Yeah, I'm the old man of the bunch.
I was so glad to see you get up and stretch because I thought it was just me, Commissioner.
We just like to stand up, don't we, Billy? There's nothing getting old and
Can't keep a
stiff.
good man down.
Well, Judge, you're a down lineman. You cracked heads for too long. I know you're not right.
Yeah, you got that right. Hey, we got Larry Simmons is coming in and we're going to go to in fact, we can go ahead. He's getting on right now. So let's go ahead and go to back. The item we took to executive session was 20.3, and I will in a motion approving the purchase of managed detection and response services.
So move, Your Honor.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tice, second by Commissioner Gore. And, that motion is a little vague and for the purposes that it should be vague. So.
Security.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, it's 2:23 p.m. We're going to 20.1, discuss and consider personnel issues, and we will recess at 2:23 again to executive session.
You're in.
All right, Chambers County Court come to order after executive session. No action coming out of executive session on 20.1. It's 3:16 p.m. and we are ready to move on through this agenda. Let's let Sam in, and then let's get her taken care of. All right, I show we're done down to 1.9 under administration.
Hey.
All right, so we're going to 1.9, discuss and consider resolution authorizing county grant, Texas Department of Agriculture, Texans Feeding, Texans Home Delivery Meal Grant Program 2021. Sam, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good afternoon. I don't think any of us know what time it is. You guys have had a pretty grueling day. So I have been talking with the Senior Citizens Project. I'm not affiliated with them in any way other than I am related to the director. Ben is my first cousin. And you may or may not know, they're kind of in a financial pickle. They, like every other nonprofit and small business in Chambers County, they've been hit hard by COVID. They've had some of their funding slowed down or decreased, and some of it has stopped altogether. And early last week, I believe it is, Lauren was looking at the budget, looking at funding, and realized that this resolution that I've put on the court agenda had never been passed for us being the county, to continue funding the Senior Citizens Project. This is something that is normally passed by court annually in October. Ben, the director, normally puts it on the court agenda, and it kind of goes in conjunction with some TDA funding that they receive. So we give them about 16 grand. TDA usually gives them about 4 grand. Well, last October, we were in the midst of COVID, and then they were in the middle of having to move out. They, being Senior Citizen Project, were in the middle of having to move out of their building, and also TDA didn't do the program last year that they normally get funding from. So kind of an amalgamation of issues happened, and the resolution didn't get passed. So naturally that kind of put a halt to the money that they were going to receive this year. I kind of worked with Lauren, I worked with George in the purchasing office. They were huge helps, and figured that out. We got the resolution, and it's on court before you guys to consider. That money is in the budget. It was set up in the budget already. It's not something that I'm asking you guys, or they're asking you for, outside of what you guys normally do. It's just, this is kind of the legal legwork that has to be completed in order for you guys to allocate them that money that you've already set aside. It does partner with the TDA funding, which, like I said, they didn't do the program last year. It is on my calendar this year, so I'm going to go ahead and start helping them with that. You know, Senior Citizens Project is absolutely essential to the seniors that are on the program. For those 55 people or so, that's their sole source of food. We definitely don't want to see this go by the wayside. So I'm going to step in and kind of help as much as I can with finding some additional funding, but this is kind of the first step for that.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, Judge.
So moved, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Tice. Any questions, Sam? Hearing none, those in favor?
Question.
Oh, you got a question, Bill?
Yeah, just curious. $16,630. Why the odd number? Where'd that come from?
You know, I'm not really sure. That's just kind of what, I didn't go that far back. I looked back a couple years, and that's what we gave them. It is an odd number. I'm not sure where that was created from, though. So just so y'all know, I'm looking at their operating budget, seeing if I can help them find anywhere to cut costs, to kind of save, because like I said, just like everybody else, they're kind of in a pickle right now. I'm looking at some alternative funding sources for them as well. But you guys, we really appreciate doing what you guys just did and continuing this funding that we normally provide to them.
All right. Any other questions? Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's go to Economic Development Tourism 5.1. Discuss, consider authorizing Department of Economic Development partnership with Purchasing Department to be procurement for grant management firm for Rescue Act for the Oak Street replacement project.
So there's an error on the agenda item, and the American Rescue Act does not pertain to the Oak Street Bridge. That's actually the item below it. The American Rescue Act is a federally funded program that's run through the U.S. Department of Treasury. So there was a little error on that item.
Okay.
But it is a rundown on the American Rescue Act, and we do need to move forward with procuring a grant management service for.
We're not on that yet, so let's take care of 5.1 first.
Okay, so 5.1 is American Rescue Act, right? Am I confusing myself here?
You tell me. All right, I got
Okay, so
American
5.1
Rescue.
is American Rescue Act. What is in
And-
parentheses should be on 5.2. That makes sense?
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
So
All right,
5.1
so
is
then,
American Rescue Act. So American
then
Rescue
yes,
Act.
let's talk about the American Rescue Act. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So like I said, it is a federally funded program that is handled through the U.S. Department of Treasury. It is related to COVID-19. We are going to get a direct allocation from it. The money's just going to show up in our bank account. We don't have to do anything to get it. The nice thing is we're getting a fairly large chunk of change. We're estimated to get about $8.5 million. This is going to be handled in 2 tranches. And so we're going to get the first amount of money, which is half of, the money. So $4.25 million or so is going to kind of magically appear in our bank account on May 10th of this year. And the second half of that payment will magically appear in our bank account on May 10th of next year. So there are some very, very rough guidelines that kind of outline what we can use these funds for. The challenge here is that the guidelines are so vague. We have to be very, very careful to make sure that we're not putting the cart before the horse or getting ourselves in a bind later on. The very rough kind of descriptions of what we can use the funds for are local COVID-19 pandemic assistance, essential worker premium pay, provision of government services, and investments in water, sewer, and broadband. The 2 middle categories, essential worker premium pay and provision of government services, sound very, very enticing, but the documentation that's required to prove the necessity for those is going to prohibit us from utilizing them. So those kind of aren't going to be effective for us. My recommendation for how we use these funds is that we take a certain amount of money to be decided by you guys, but my suggestion would be several $100,000 and do a small business and nonprofit recovery program so that we can help out those nonprofits and small businesses, like I just mentioned earlier, that have been affected by COVID-19 and maybe didn't qualify for other relief programs, and then use the rest for investments in water, sewer, and broadband. And I've been listening to court all morning, and one of the things that you guys have talked about is the new West Side complex. And Derek and I have had some conversations about getting internet service to that facility. And one way we could use these funds is to pay for the installation of, because there's no internet service, to my understanding. There's no fiber optic lines laid in the vicinity of that building.
What about water and sewer there also?
We can absolutely use it for that as well. So
Aaron,
we
you catch that?
can get the infrastructure
That's a, thank you.
to there as well. And one thing we could do with broadband is take and have broadband run through all the neighborhoods that lead up to that facility, So there are a couple different options that we can look at. We can absolutely offset some of the cost of the West Side complex as long as we're kind of making sure that it benefits the community as well. So that would offset some costs. But then we can also utilize it to plan, for example, a countywide broadband installation plan. Because as you guys know, there are a lot of areas in rural Chambers County that don't have reliable internet access. And so we can, one thing we talked about or kind of thought about doing is having a contractor develop a phased approach to installing broadband throughout the county. I believe Hardin County did a program similar to that several years ago. And even if we can only complete phase 1 in this program, we can have the design work paid for. So there's a lot to think about with this funding opportunity. And I know I just kind of gave you a big information overload, but the only thing that I'm asking you guys to do today is to let me move forward with procuring a grant management firm to assist with this. This is not a traditional grant in the appearance of what we've seen in the past with grants from GLO, but it is very much so a grant from the federal government. We will have to follow all of the same federal procurement regulations. We will have all of the same federal record keeping regulations. And especially since this is such a large chunk of money, and if we decide to go with a small business and nonprofit relief package, having somebody that's going to help us with record keeping, development of that program, so on and so forth, will be absolutely indispensable to us.
Is there a time frame on this money?
Yes. So, but it's a reasonable time frame. We've got until December 31st, 2024. So we've got roughly 36 months, give or take.
So did y'all talk about, I know you had a meeting, because Patrick's the one that first brought it to our attention. Did y'all talk about health related, like a FEP warehouse and some of those things? And is there anything else in that West Side project that would other infrastructure?
For this particular allocation, no. But there are some additional funds coming down the pike here in the next 12 months or so that would allow us or would be able to be used for like a FEP warehouse or for similar things like that. There's also going to be some more broadband grants coming down as well, because that's one of the presidential initiatives is the establishment of broadband. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware, you probably are, but broadband has been designated as an infrastructure item. So now internet is considered infrastructure the same way water, sewer, electrical are.
All right, Austin just informed me that today we've been doing Zoom meetings for a year.
Oh, congratulations, Austin.
Long enough,
So,
Judge.
and as I was, yeah, I know. And I'm looking at going back next month, if cases are in good shape. So, and if we do, but I still think we'll have the same format. We'll Zoom, but we'll Zoom, we'll put it on the screen. Austin and I talked about it earlier, but we'll also have in person for anybody that wants to come.
That's great.
Like Sam, I was just thinking, she would have had pretty much been sitting over at the courthouse all day.
Right.
So we could still, and not been able to get her other work done. So
right.
Still have a
You
Zoom.
think about kids that, last year schools were closed down and kids didn't have access to internet. I don't have internet at my house, for example. And so those children were impacted, and anything we can do to ensure that our residents are set up for success in whatever avenue, be it schooling, be it job searches, be it working from home. I think that's really a good thing for us to do.
I think it's important. Yeah.
I agree with you totally.
All right. So what she's asking now is to begin the process to procurement for grant management firm.
Yes, sir.
So moved, Judge.
Sir,
That'll be my
who made the motion? Commissioner Gore? Commissioner Gore, Commissioner Combs, second.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Hear none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Tommy had a question, but he's ready to get to the ball game. So
I didn't have a question. Sam already filled my ear up this morning.
You made the mistake of calling me. Y'all know I like to talk. So,
all right, let's go to
Patrick
5-2.
hasn't responded to me. I'll talk on Patrick's item 5-2.
All right, 5-2, discuss consider resolution of Commissioners Court, Chambers County, Texas, authorizing the submission of Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for the Community Development Fund. And this is for the Oak Street Bridge, correct?
Yes, sir. This one's for Oak Street Bridge. So
All right, go ahead.
I think you guys are all familiar with Oak Street Bridge. It was, and then it wasn't. And then, I think it's kind of past hand several times. So we're going to submit an application through TDA's Community Development Fund to get this project completed. There is going to be a 25% match, but it's my understanding that the county has allocated funds already for that. And so there won't be any additional budget strain associated with that. So all that we need today is that you guys pass the resolution that's in the packet, allowing us to move forward with the application. The budget's all laid out in there. The application is due on May 3rd. So assuming you guys approve the resolution today, we're going to move for public comment on it. And that way we've got plenty of time to submit and we won't run into a deadline on that. So yeah, that's all I got.
All right, entertain a motion.
Make a motion, Judge. Second, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Tice. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sam, that's all you have, wasn't it?
That's all I got.
Thank you, Sam. We appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks for your
guys. Have a
patience.
good day.
All right, so moving down, Looks like 7-1 and 7-2 were tabled.
Did we do 2-1, Judge?
Nope.
I don't know.
No.
Who's on first?
Yeah, I know, Judge. Bill won them.
Oh,
back.
no, we didn't. I checked it. All right, 2.1, consider Chambers County fund balance policy, Chambers County investment policy for the year ending December 31, 2021. Aaron, you got anything on that?
I think it's a general policy for the fund balance.
It's a renewal of the general policy for the fund balance.
Yeah.
It's something we do every year. I think it's like 25% of expenses. From our fund balance.
Okay.
I think it's really-
All right. Any questions on it? If it is, we can get the auditor. If not,
It's just
I'll
renewal of
entertain a
our
motion.
existing policy.
Yeah, it's a renewal. I'll entertain a
Motion to
moved.
approve, Judge.
motion by Commissioner Gore,
Second.
second by Commissioner Combs. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I now think is there anything else we missed down to law enforcement?
I think we got through that part, Judge.
All right, 17-1, discuss and consider proclamation declaring April 11th through 17th as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Commissioner Tice, you want to read that? I
Judge.
heard you clearing your throat like you want to.
No, you better not. Mine is in very small print, Judge, so ask some.
All right. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require law enforcement, fire, and emergency medical services. Whereas when an emergency occurs, the response of law enforcement officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. Whereas the safety of our law enforcement officers, firefighters, and paramedics is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Chambers County Sheriff's Office 911 Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunications are the single vital link for law enforcement officers, firefighters, and paramedics by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, ensuring their safety. Whereas public safety telecommunications of the Chambers County Sheriff's Office have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. Whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Therefore, be it resolved by the Commissioners Court of Chambers County, Texas, that we, the Commissioners Court of Chambers County, Texas, declare the week of April 11th through the 17th to be National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Chambers County in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our county and citizens safe. Motion by Commissioners Court, second by Commissioners Court. Y'all good with that?
Yes,
Yes,
all
sir.
in favor.
And we do appreciate what they do at dispatch.
Judge, I'd like to say
Go ahead.
kudos to our EMS and also to our fire department. There was a big major fire in Beach City on Easter morning. And I know a lot of you know Lee and Leila Bates. And anyhow, their home burnt totally up. But the efforts that was put in fighting that fire, they had tankers from 10 different fire departments. They're battling that fire and hauling water in. And the EMS, I mean, the lady that was there, I mean, Lee just had nothing but praises for her. She stayed by their side the whole time and took care of every need that they had. But just want to give them a good kudos and thank them very much.
Thank you. And if it wasn't for the dispatchers dispatching them,
Right.
they wouldn't have been there. All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we are down to consent. Precinct 4, we'll start with you. Commissioner Combs, you got anything on the consent?
I'm burnt out, Judge. I'm good.
Precinct 3, no, He wants to go to the ballgame. Anything, Tommy?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, 16.
Okay. Approve the golf cart rental from Southeast Texas Starter. The amount of $400 be used during the Chambers County Youth Livestock Show and Ranch Rodeo. Go ahead.
I got, for questions?
Yeah.
Okay, one question. Why can we not get those from the golf course?
I don't know how many we're using. And if he can spare them, but
Judge, from my play at Chambers County Golf Course, those golf carts are used. I mean, it's full. Sometimes if you get there at 2 o'clock, just want to play 9 o'clock, you got to wait for a cart to come back in. It's not that they're short at the golf course. It's just the amount of play there.
well, and this time of years.
That's right. It's just getting them
Okay,
from the golf.
the second part of that is that there's a local vendor that emailed us and said that her rates are cheaper.
Okay.
Commissioner Hammond, there's been a few emails trade back and forth on that. And our parks department did go out and got 4 bids. There was some misinformation in that email and it's been
Yeah.
cleared up now.
So is this, Billy, is this low?
According to the last email that Kurt sent, yeah, and he actually responded to the person that sent that email inquiry out. I forwarded it to him. And hang on, let me find it. Man, got a lot of emails today.
All right, while you're looking, what else, Commissioner Hammond?
I had a question on 1928. The Pineland Acre subdivision. It was approved in 1979. So I guess that's still
All right.
intact.
Well, yeah, if it never was canceled, he's asking to cancel it, so.
Okay.
And I'm sure that was just dividing some property up.
It's actually dividing it up into a subdivision.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What, anything else?
No, sir. That was it.
Billy, did you find that?
I just forwarded it to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right,
So we're okay with 16 then.
I am.
All right. Okay, precinct 2, Mark.
I'm good, Judge.
Precinct 1, Commissioner Gore.
I'm good, Judge.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move, Your Honor.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Tice, second by Commissioner Gore. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I think we covered it all. Anybody know anything we missed? Ashley, thanks for being there with us. Further to come before the
Thank
court
you.
at 3:40 PM. It's a record for a Zoom meeting. Court is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Go to the ball
Commissioner.
game,
Thank you,
Tommy.
Ashley.
Thank you all so much for having me.
I got plenty of time now. I'm good.
Good.
You got an hour to spare.